Star Transfer, 833-594-0079, or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A weak weather disturbance nearby, spitting out a few spotty showers this morning, but the rain coverage is limited. Still, let's have the umbrella handy just in case. Otherwise, partly sunny, cooler than normal weather continues with highs in the low 80s this afternoon. Partly cloudy and dry tonight will drop to 63, and then tomorrow warmer, a high of 86, as we wait on the arrival of a cold front. Scattered showers and a few storms possible near that front late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, and then much cooler Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
A lot of those Missouri lawmakers just don't want to wait. They want to go back to work, well, frankly, now instead of waiting till January. We've got the update for you on that here in just a little bit. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Mike Ferguson here. Hope you had a fantastic Labor Day holiday. On Friday's show, we really dug into some interesting and fairly deep things regarding what's going wrong with so many young people, and is it related to this left-wing ideology, the wokeness? We sometimes mock it for its silliness, but is this really actually causing some of the disastrous and destructive effects we're seeing around society? Dr. Richard Craden, who is a Harvard psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, was with us on Friday's show to kind of dig into the realities, and digging into those realities, he argues, means we need to reject a lot of the established narratives that are just being accepted these days. This was fascinating. Here's what he had to say. When you look at, by the way, the book, if you want to look up, A Godless Crusade, the Progressive Campaign to Rid the World of Religion, you and I, we booked this interview before this shooting happened. This has been on the books for a little bit. Is this situation in Minneapolis, this tragedy, is this something that could end up being more evidence of a wider spread mental health crisis in America, particularly affecting these young people? Because you got somebody who's in his early 20s right now who committed this. And we say a generational mental health crisis. That's different than just saying, oh, these kids are crazy these days.
Well, let me begin by saying that for many years, the idea of transgenderism is not a new concept. It's not a new disorder. It's been recognized for a long time. But it was always recognized until recently as a serious mental disorder. And if one has any experience in treating these individuals, one recognizes that in addition to their gender confusion, they often have other major characterological problems with their personality, anxiety, depression, paranoia, etc. What's happened over the last 10, 15, maybe 20 years, this has been a progressive infiltration of the mental health profession, all of our institutions, but the mental health profession and the medical profession with progressive ideology, which has its basis in neo-Marxist, postmodernist philosophy. And since the 1970s, when homosexuality was also taken off the books as a neurosis and labeled a lifestyle change, a similar thing has happened as well, largely due to political activism from the gay community and from progressives, rather than coming from scientific evidence. So the concept that somehow transgenderism is a lifestyle choice and we need to be supporting it or even applauding it is completely antithetical to science, to the scientific approach to medicine and psychiatry. And, people have argued this now for quite some time, but the culture has been so co-opted by this thought that, at this point we're seeing this type of conflict in society. People who are mentally ill, particularly if they're paranoid and particularly if they feel that somehow there are people out there trying to threaten their existence, can become violent. And I think that's what we're seeing, at least in a subset of the transgender community. that they feel that they're really being threatened by conservatives. They feel they're threatened by traditional religion, which doesn't accept their concept of transgenderism. And so you're beginning to see repeated episodes of violence directed against the churches and against Trump, at least in theory, and against conservatives in general. So this is a real problem. And obviously the society is divided on this. But I think at the root, the real problem lies with the mental health profession, which has more or less also been accepting of these ideas, which are antithetical to the usual scientific approach to medicine and psychiatry.
Good morning, Dr. Creighton. Gabe Phifer here. So how did we get to this point? I mean, it seems like that it may have taken, I guess, a long time, but we've strayed really far from just normal interactions with one another, normal understandings of regular behaviors in society. So how did we get so far afield?
You know, the American public is by and large good-natured and also at some level fairly naive. Back in the 1960s, during the turmoil that surrounded the Vietnam War and the protests with feminism and civil rights movement, there were people who had neo-Marxist or had Marxist ideas who realized that revolution wasn't going to undermine society in the United States or in the West in general, and that the way to do that was going to be to infiltrate the institutions and transform these institutions in a neo-Marxist manner, and to transform the culture in a way that would now accept that things that were commonsensical in the past were being questioned. And so it's not by chance. It's been systematic. It's a part of the educational system now, certainly in higher education and throughout the public school system. It's pretty much from grades, from kindergarten through the entire high school years. So you've got people who are being educated to believe that, black is white and white is black, and that, there are hundreds of genders, rather than just two sexes, etc. And this is across the board. And it's also been made worse by the media, which is largely left-leaning. It's been made worse by the news. And essentially all of the major institutions have been captured by progressive thought. So it's not really a surprise. It's been it's been brewing now for a long time, but essentially now it's really erupted into full sight.
We are visiting with Dr. Richard Creighton, a Harvard psychiatrist and psychoanalyst. The book is called A Godless Crusade, the Progressive Campaign to Rid the World of Religion. So the question I'm about to get to is, okay, what do we need to do to actually care for the people affected by these mental health crises as opposed to embracing them? But when you look at some of the results that we're seeing right now of those in Gen Z, am I reading this right, Dr. Creighton? Over 40% of Gen Z acknowledges struggling with some kind of mental health condition, of depression in particular, 60% plus with anxiety. I mean, these are some staggering numbers that we just aren't, I think, it's tough to get our head wrapped around it in other generations, like I'm Gen X. And so the idea that 4 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 people in an entire generation are diagnosed with some kind of mental condition tells us something's gone horribly wrong. So what do we do to get a handle on it collectively and start getting away from this and back into sort of individual self-sufficiency when it comes to mental health?
I think we have to begin, and this is very difficult, but I think we have to begin questioning virtually everything that progressive culture has injected into society. We really need to be questioning what constitutes mental illness. We need to question what the proper approach is to mental illness. We need to stop promoting the idea of victimization within the culture as being a positive notion. so that people self-identify themselves with mental illness, where in the past we may have just seen it as certain challenges related to certain elements going on in one's life. So we've medicalized a whole variety of issues. We have most of our children now on medication, which was never true in the past. But again, it's all in large measure a way of undermining the fabric of society.
Now, there are studies that are showing that Gen Z is increasingly identifying as having some sort of religion, particularly gravitating towards the Christian religion, at least by self-identification. Is this a true correction that's kind of coming through, that's naturally bubbling up in our culture as they reject the failures of postmodern thought, or is this something else? Because I also see that there are a lot of churches out there that call themselves Christian that are just kind of progressive organizations with a sort of Christian veneer.
Yes, I mean, I think the mainline churches have really betrayed religious dogma and their own purpose. So that, what you've just mentioned is a real possibility. The other possibility is that, again, I think most of progressive ideology, particularly in its woke manifestation, really doesn't work, and it's basically unnatural if you believe that there is anything that's natural. So it's certainly possible that young people are beginning to get the sense that their lives they're not prospering or flourishing in their lives, and perhaps are looking to religion or other forms of meaning to reverse the dysphoria that they're experiencing.
And I'm going to shortchange on time, Dr. Richard Creighton, on this one, but talk to the parents or the grandparents or those who work with the young people. What are the signs that they should watch for to indicate that this young person's needs help or is going to need some help? What are some things that we need to watch for in order to hopefully prevent somebody from falling into this trap driven by wokeness or whatever else to avoid them going down this direction in their life?
I think you have to recognize that people are normally social animals. And so if you see a child who's becoming increasingly disengaged from the outer world, who's spending his time in front of the internet screen or on social media with his phone, or withdrawn into his room, or becomes secretive, or clearly shows signs of anxiety or depression, then you need to recognize that these are things that need to be addressed and not denied or colluded with. And, it's important that people begin to recognize that when there is a problem, that they need to confront it and not just shrink from what seems to be an uncomfortable situation.
Got some thoughts on that? Let's talk. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tim Jones here from my great friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. How do I know? Simply put, they've helped me on many occasions. Here's another solution to your everyday aches and pains. The Studio Health and Wellness Center. Services include Pilates and yoga, both with certified instructors. I can also highly recommend the massage therapy, which is not an indulgence. It's a proven method of healing and restoration. Trust my friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
All aboard!
There's a new way to travel, and it's one of the oldest forms of transportation. Travel by train. Yes, consider traveling around the United States on Amtrak. Traveling by train is a lot less of a headache than taking a plane, and you'd be surprised how many places you can go on an Amtrak, and there's no passports or IDs needed. Find out how to get where you're going as soon as tomorrow by train. Call the Amtrak Travel Hotline right now. We'll book your trip and email your tickets within minutes. Skip the drive to the airport and skip the lines. Call right now to book your Amtrak reservations. We service most of the United States.
All aboard!
Do something new. Travel by Amtrak today.
800-867-6917. 800-867-6917. 800-867-6917. That's 800-867-6917.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Clayton yesterday, Jefferson City tomorrow, the world after that. I don't know, but the protesters, that's the leftist protesters. Really about all they have right now is making noise at protest in Missouri, at least. I mean, that's all they've got.
Don't these people have jobs or hobbies or literally anything else better to do?
I think for some of them, this was the job, and it is the hobby.
Very true.
To some degree there. 548. Hope you had a fantastic Labor Day weekend. A lot of people were marching and chanting and stuff, unions. Yeah, that's right. Unions kind of organizing this, and you give credit where credit's due. They know how to turn out an audience. When you look at actual union membership, their influence is way bigger than their actual numbers normally would dictate. So there was a protest in Clayton on Monday, and this was targeting the upcoming special session in Missouri because as expected, after the show went off the air on Monday, Governor Kehoe did announce that afternoon that he's calling the special session. It's going to start on Wednesday. So tomorrow's Wednesday because today's not Monday. Today's Tuesday.
Yeah, we're not telling you something good today.
No, not today. And so Governor Kehoe is going to have that special session. And so there was a lot of protest. This was a lot of the same people that did like the No Kings protest. And I forgot some of the other names of the protests.
Hands off.
Yeah, all those sorts of things. These are all the same people. These are the old white leftists. These are the hippies that just haven't died yet. And so that's what they are. And then of course you got the union types in there as well. So these are just rebranding the same thing with this one. I think was like workers over millionaires or people over millionaires or something like that. And so that's what they were doing. And they say they're going to go to the state capitol tomorrow to protest against, what's going to happen. Because the Republicans, it sounds to me like they're in line. Because I don't think the governor was going to call this session unless they counted heads and they got commitments for enough votes to get these things done. My guess is they want to be in and out very quickly because they're going to catch hell from media. That's nothing new. I think there are an increasing number of conservatives who are starting to go, guys, is this what we want? Is this the direction we want to go? This populist direction as opposed to a principled conservative direction? I think there's a few more. So I think they want to get in and get out. I don't think they want that debate.
Yeah, because you can also extend that to, do we really want to be taking orders from the federal government or do we want to remain Missouri first? I mean, that's sort of how I see it.
I don't think I posted anything on Twitter this weekend or X on this weekend. I just unplugged, actually went camping for a couple of days.
Hey, that's good.
I did go out and do that for a couple of days. So I just intentionally unplugged. And I thought about posting on, boy, I would love for us to see a day when the states tell the federal government what to do, not the other way around.
As it should be.
Yeah, but that's not where we are.
No.
And so that's the dynamic that we've got. And we're going to talk to State Representative Ben Keathley right now. And I'm not even going to necessarily be mad at any of the individual Republicans. You're going to have a really, really tough time saying, hey, wait a minute, this is a mid-year redistricting. Hey, wait a minute, just because the federal government tells us to doesn't mean we have to redo this. Not now. If that should have been done, it should have been done after the last census, which is what the Constitution calls for. But they are correct when they say there's nothing to prohibit them. I mean, they could go in and redraw the district lines every 2 years if they wanted. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker was asked about redistricting, in response, quote unquote, in response. Now, Missouri and Texas are doing this in response to, the Democrats around the country. And he says it's not something he wants to do. Not right now. So Illinois is probably not going to do that, but Illinois has already gerrymandered the hell out of their state. There's nowhere left they could squeeze more Democratic votes possible in the state. They've gerrymandered it to the maximum to minimize Republican representation. Just look at their freaking maps. I mean, when Stephen Colbert points out how ridiculous it is, it's off the rails, because Colbert is, about as much of a left-wing hack as you're going to possibly find. So this is going to happen. But to me, the most important part is the initiative petition reform they're going to do, or hopefully they're going to do. And we're about to find out whether or not the Republican Party is going to have the spine in Missouri, going to have the backbone to stand up to the lobbyists and to the consultant class and to all of these groups that make a crap ton of money off of statewide referendum campaigns, because this will by design cut back on the success of those and cut back on how many of those we're going to see. Now, I personally think that's a good idea, because I think there should be far more of a consensus for something to even have a chance. And right now, if you are rich enough, you can buy yourself a constitutional amendment or a law in Missouri. So this is way overdue, and it's way overdue just simply for the fact that Republicans, when they get term limited out, if they've got enough power, they know they can step right into become the consultant class and the lobby class, and they can make a crap ton of money the rest of their careers and the rest of their lives by selling their influence now. And that's why so many of them balk on initiative petition reform, and they have for over 5 years.
Well, it's almost sounding then like some of these protesters might actually have a smidget of a point. It's just that they are so broad with their net of what they're mad about that they just cannot actually make the point.
Well, they're just targeting the wrong people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to oppose initiative petition reform. Well, why? Because the labor unions want to be able to buy laws. They want to be able to buy constitutional amendments. They're going to be opposing the redistricting, which, you know what? That's more of a fair debate that nobody wants to have. The debate right now on both sides is, we want elections to have consequences, deal with it. We get to write the rules. And in this case right here, the president told the state, get me another vote. One vote. One.
Yeah.
That's all Missouri can do. One vote. And he told them to do it. So they are going to reconvene the government, 3 months before the actual session was going to begin anyway, and redraw those lines because they were told to by the federal government, by the president. And Republicans say, we should have done this before. Well, why didn't you? And so, am I going to be sad that Democrats lose a vote? No, of course not. But understand that I think we're at one of these moments in history where this is going to be the new normal. So a Democratic president doesn't have enough votes, or a Democratic president is 2 or 3 votes short. Hey, redistrict. Nevada, redistrict. New Mexico, redistrict. California, redistrict. You know what? Yeah. Virginia, redistrict. Maryland, redistrict. You just go do it. Michigan, redistrict. And so then the Republicans do it. And so we're really kind of spiraling into a chaos. But we're saying, but we're responding to their chaos, so we have to control the chaos, and because we don't want them to control the chaos. And that's really where we are in our body politic right now.
Yeah, that's what irritates me. So I still have, people back, when I say back home, this is my home, but back where I grew up, that I keep in contact with, and they were spamming me with like, look at what Missouri's doing, and yada yada yada. I'm like, well, if we look at Illinois' districting, then I can understand. That's what's, I think, so painful about this. I understand the logic of it, even though it does not feel good, because the presence of St. Louis and the presence of Kansas City, even if it was just give each one of them their own specific districts, and then the rest of Missouri can be a bright, beautiful red, I think that is still fair.
Yeah, I think to me, what should happen, and nobody in the political class wants to do this, so I'm just the outlier, is that you look at the population and you divide the districts evenly amongst the population without regard to who's in what district, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Are you suggesting a representative republic, Mike?
I'm kind of doing that, but then they get into, well, you have to have communities of interest. Well, no, you don't. How about you just treat every citizen and voter as a citizen and a voter?
And that's because, again, I don't like the idea that we're doing things that have nothing to do with the will of Missourian voters. It has more to do with just smiting other states. I don't like the way that comes off.
And it just shows that the national scoreboard, is more, is Donald Trump particularly worried about the people of the 5th district of Missouri? No, he just wants more votes in Congress so he can get his stuff done before he becomes a lame duck in a year and a half. And we're going to rewrite our districts. Well, I'm not mad at the Republicans. I understand the pressure to do it. I understand the pressure to react to other states. I get it. It's just an overall bad trend.
Jamie Ullman here with the refi and debt consolidation magician, Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. Jordan, tell me about it.
Well, Jamie, with inflation high, credit card debts all-time highs, let's look at a cash-out refinance on your home. With our bagel loan, we're going to have no title fees. We're going to have no lender fees, no appraisal fees. This will help your overall cash flow mightily. It's the time to do it. Jump on now while you can. We can always refinance when rates drop. Bagel loan all day.
314-442-9570 or Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715. Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
I remember my son was going to grow up without a father.
I didn't think someone at 23 could be diagnosed with breast cancer.
I was probably the healthiest I had been in my life.
Early detection of a melanoma saved my life.
I survived testicular cancer because of early detection.
I survived cancer not once, but twice because of early detection.
Hi, I'm Congressman Bob Onder. Early detection equals better outcomes. Learn what routine cancer screenings you need and book your doctor's appointment today.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Now that he has corralled crime in Washington, D.C., President Trump would like to do the same thing in Chicago, but the prospect infuriates Democrat city and state leaders. Mayor Brandon Johnson tells a protest rally no federal troops in the city of Chicago, where there were more than 50 shootings over the weekend. What some have called lawfares, jeopardizing the Trump tariffs.
A federal appeals court has ruled that Donald Trump illegally used emergency powers to impose sweeping tariffs, but left them in place for now. The court said the president wasn't legally allowed to declare national emergencies and impose import taxes on almost every country. It's a major legal blow for the White House, and the president took notice. He wrote on social media that if allowed to stand, this decision would literally destroy the U.S. Greg Clugston, Washington.
China is hosting some of its key allies, including Russia, and from outward appearances, it would seem that Moscow and Beijing are growing closer with each passing day. The BBC's Steve Lai is in Beijing.
There's been a flurry of diplomacy over the last 2 days. We saw the SCO summit, and now leaders are gathering here in Beijing for more talks. President Putin was speaking very fondly of President Xi, calling him a dear friend. Well, for his part, President Xi told Putin that China-Russia relations have withstood the test of international changes, adding that Beijing was willing to work with Moscow to promote what he called the construction of a more just and reasonable global governance system.
North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un is also in Beijing, and that's unusual since Kim rarely leaves his country. Averting a partial government shutdown at month's end, one of the orders of business facing lawmakers now that Congress is back on Capitol Hill from its August break. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures down 273 points. NASDAQ futures off 216. More on these stories at townhall.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Mom, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotion. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you, when I told my mom, it's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, everything you need and nothing you don't.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A weak weather disturbance nearby, spitting out a few spotty showers this morning, but the rain coverage is limited. Still, let's have the umbrella handy just in case. Otherwise, partly sunny, cooler than normal weather continues with highs in the low 80s this afternoon. Partly cloudy and dry tonight will drop to 63, and then tomorrow warmer, a high of 86, as we wait on the arrival of a cold front. Scattered showers and a few storms possible near that front late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, and then much cooler Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
We talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity. And I'm sick and tired of it.
1019 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Phifer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, just a heads up on some traffic. I-55 and 64 westbound. So we're talking about that interchange right there in downtown, so near the stadium.
Poplar Street Bridge.
Poplar Street Bridge westbound is closed right now. There is an accident, and it's bad. There was a vehicle that looks like it has found its way underneath the tractor trailer.
Yeah.
So westbound is completely shut down. Traffic's not that heavy right now at this point, but it looks like that's going to be there for a little while. So expect some backups on that, especially for those of you coming in on the Illinois side, because that is westbound.
Yeah.
And so if you're heading into downtown, you may want to reroute if you are planning to work the 7 to whatever shift. So check your maps.
Yeah.
Do your GPS.
Get that traffic update. Yes.
Get that update there. All right. It's another special session for Missouri legislators, and some protesters had stuff to say about that on Monday. The Trump administration says it's going to appeal 2 more court rulings. And are we becoming nicer, or are we becoming ruder in America? Yeah. All right. It is 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
And Missouri lawmakers headed back to the Capitol for another special session. This time it's to pass a Republican plan to redraw the state's congressional districts. That's, of course, at the request of President Trump, who told state officials to deliver 1 more Republican seat in Congress. The session, which begins tomorrow, will also address initiative petition reform. All right. Protesters took to Shaw Park in Clayton on Monday to speak out against that special session. There were signs
Okay.
There were chants.
As there tend to be.
Yeah, the usual here. Protesters also voiced support for striking Boeing workers who walked off the job. That was early last month, I guess.
Yeah.
After rejecting a 20% pay increase offer. By the way, I want to talk about that protest and the media coverage of it a little more depth at 6:35.
Okay. All right.
Let's do that. So if you happen to see it, or by the way, if you were there, 6:35. Let's have the conversation.
I'm curious how they spun the we're against the government thing, but supporting the work like at the same time. It's like, shouldn't there be like a bill that says you can only protest one thing at the same time?
hey, both parties in Jeff City ignore that actual law for legislation all the time.
True.
So
Good point.
Okay. More information being released about the shooter who killed 2 children and injured 18 others Wednesday in Minneapolis. Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer, Republican, was on ABC's This Week to discuss that. He said questions need to be answered as to why people did not seek help for the actual shooter, who his name was Robert Westman, but then he changed it to Robin Westman as part of his gender confusion.
Clearly, this young man was crying out for help. Why was no one hearing him? Why was no one listening? It really is a tragedy, and that's the part that we need to know is why wasn't this identified?
Okay, so 7 o'clock hour. I want to get into this a little more in depth because reading through the diaries, which is a lot of columnists, and I've read a number of articles on these, and they're publishing from his diaries. And this kid, though I say kid, he was 20 something years old. This guy was well aware that he was really messed up in the head and that he had made a big mistake trying to pretend to be a girl.
Yeah.
And, he also referenced his marijuana use and his anger at his mother. And so basically you had somebody who confirms everything we're saying about the dangers of this mental illness and the dangers of affirming it.
Massive public cry for help was going on for I don't know how long. I mean, it must have been a period of time.
Right. And does that mean that I'm going to feel some sort of sympathy for him? No, I don't. He made the choice, and your pain should not be something that you inflict on other people. So I have zero sympathy for him. And frankly, I'm angry that he took the coward's way out so that he couldn't be tried and spend the rest of his life in prison. But the warning signs were there. And the more we know, the more that it confirms how dangerous this mental illness is. And the affirmation of it in particular.
Yes. And I think that's kind of the key to it. And this kind of ties into a discussion I've been seeing now of Donald Trump's willingness to reopen mental hospitals. Have you seen this?
I've heard about
it. I don't know what all the president has to do with that, or if that's a state's issue or what have you. But certainly, I think our society needs to focus in a different way. Because look, we have been focused on mental health, just I think in the wrong way. We've been glorifying it. We've been everybody's been shouting their various mental issues on social media and sharing it. And look, the removing the stigma, as they say, we're past that. Okay, people talk very openly about their mental illnesses, but we're not doing the right things about them.
Exactly. All right, some other things going on. U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit rules late last week that President Trump overstepped his authority under an emergency power law and that he has no legal right to impose those sweeping tariffs. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, speaking to Fox News Monday, says he's confident that this ruling will eventually be overturned by the Supreme Court. And he says that the president has to issue tariffs to save the country from economic disaster.
President Trump, myself, the economic team in the cabinet believe that we are close to a tipping point where we could have financial instability due to these large and persistent trade deficits. So we are trying to head off a crisis.
Okay, so basically our Treasury Secretary just said a bunch of economically illiterate things just there. The court did not rule that the tariffs are in and of themselves illegal. I want to make this really clear. They ruled that the president doesn't have the unilateral authority and that Congress rightfully has that authority.
Which it does according to the Constitution.
That's what the Constitution
says. So the thing is,
yeah.
congressional movement on this would solve the issue.
Correct.
I mean, honestly, Congress is going to give Trump what he wants. They've indicated that pretty consistently throughout the months here. So why don't they just act in that regard?
Right.
Or,
exactly.
Or at least provide some sort of legislative cover for the flexibility that Trump seems to want on this.
Yeah. And can I also point out that arguing that, well, it's a national emergency because the economy is going to go through another down cycle. Haven't we learned about what happens when politicians declare an emergency, say, give me extraordinary power because it's emergency. I'll promise I'll give it back later.
Yes.
Okay. Haven't we learned that lesson?
We need to have.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like we have.
Right.
Because every time our guy says, emergency, give me power, we say, sure, because we trust you.
Yeah.
Look, I don't trust anybody.
No.
Especially with emergency powers.
Yeah.
Haven't you guys watched Star Wars?
Don't you remember the COVID shutdowns?
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be real world examples of it, Mark.
And I'm going to actually put this out there too. I saw an article on Newsmax this morning that says President Trump is considering declaring a national emergency on housing so that he can start micromanaging the housing market and quote unquote make it more affordable because so don't let politicians just declare emergencies. We should know better by now. Yeah. And I don't care if it's an R or a D or that, and that has nothing to do with all the things that President Trump's getting right. But we should have learned our lesson by now.
Is the wrong road.
And if you're that angry about Democrats declaring emergencies and abusing their power, you should, to be intellectually honest and consistent, be as skeptical and angry about Republicans doing it. Just saying. Okay. A judge has blocked the Trump administration from deporting Guatemalan kids who illegally crossed the border without their families. Here's the story.
In a dramatic scene, the federal judge issued her order as a group of migrant Guatemalan children, ages 10 to 17, had already been boarded onto planes. She issued a temporary restraining order halting removal of the children for 14 days. Government lawyers maintain that the children were not being deported, but were being reunited with their parents or guardians. The children's lawyers dispute that portrayal, at least in some cases. Greg Clugston, Washington.
So basically you have kids who were smuggled in with coyotes and they came into the country illegally and they're being sent back to their families or basically wherever they came from. So these are the anchor babies, the anchor kids smuggled in by coyotes that have been for years and years and years used to get others into the country through the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think these kids, if I understand correctly, they weren't born here, so they're not U.S. citizens.
Correct.
But they do create a similar emotional anchor, setup for the lefties to rally around. And there's like, well, we need to reunite the families in America, of course, and give them stuff and give them amnesty and all these. Basically, it's that emotional blackmail that they like to put against the U.S.
So if you want to put the coyotes out of business, you make it obvious that their business model doesn't work.
Yeah.
So say, hey, you successfully got across the Rio Grande. You made your money. But if they can't sell that, wait a minute. What about all those kids they got sent back to their parents?
Right. Now that market dries up and you deprive the coyotes who work for the drug cartels another source of income.
Yep, exactly. All right. As of today, Ameren is raising rates on gas service in some parts of the area. Gas. Now, I'm not talking about Ameren's Electric. We're talking about Ameren Gas. Gas customers in parts of Lincoln and Warren counties, as well as in Forestell and Wentzville, are getting a 12% increase effective today.
Wow.
Ameren says that's going to increase monthly bills about $13 for each customer per month, and it's going to generate about $30 million for the company. Also, the Cardinals lost yesterday.
Stop right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop right now before you blow us all away. Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Hey, News Talk STL listeners. This is Levi, CEO of Reach Reproductive Health. There was a huge gap left when the biggest pregnancy center in St. Louis had to close their doors right after Amendment 3. But by God's grace and power, Reach has been able to step into that space. We have acquired Thrive centers and are continuing operations in greater St. Louis. I have a request for you. Would you pray and consider getting to know Reach more? We are here to see babies saved and families transformed by the power of Christ. Get to know us on our Reach community website, outreachforlife.org. That's outreachforlife.org.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, anybody see that protest in Clayton yesterday? We're going to discuss that and what's next, redistricting and all that sort of thing. That's at 6:35. But I also want to kind of look at the media coverage of that protest that happened yesterday. So if you saw it or if you were there, drop me a line, send us a comment on social media. Give me a call, 314-912-1019 at 6:35. It is, what the heck time is it? 6:20. 6:20 right now. Got Gabe here, got Jerome here. My name is Mike. Okay. Do you see this video of this guy at the tennis match?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen the video itself.
Public enemy number 1 over the weekend.
Okay. Can't be doing that.
Okay. So here's what happened. This was at the U.S. Open. I used to follow tennis pretty closely back, like when I was in college. I used to play tennis a lot. I haven't played for a long time. I don't remember. I don't even know who's out there now. I haven't really kept track of it in a long time. But this was like the era of like Andre Agassi and Gabriella Sabatini and Pete Sampras and the very end of John McEnroe and people like that. That's what I kind of remember, those eras, but I couldn't tell you who's in there now.
I just that was not my bingo list, Mike. I did not expect you to be a tennis guy.
Well, I when I was at Mizzou, you had to take a PE was one of the electives that covered, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'll do that. And I took tennis, and it was really just a lot of fun. And me and a couple of my friends, we would, because we were broke, and so once I got a discount on a tennis racket because I worked at a sporting goods store, we were able to do that and not spend money. So I played tennis for a while and kind of got to where I was watching it. It was a lot of fun. So, I mean, I got nothing against tennis. Did they become woke and stuff? I don't think they have. But,
not particularly,
yeah.
though there was that whole kerfuffle about COVID, right? You know, the one tennis player who was, took the brave stand and said, all right, I guess I'm going to forfeit my chance here, if you're going to keep me out of your country because of the COVID vaccine.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But overall, that's all much ado about nothing. So there's this guy named, let's see here, Kamil Majerzak.
Okay.
He's from Poland. And I guess he's the CEO of some successful, like construction or paving company or something like that. And he was real excited because he was close to a tennis player by the name of, I don't even know the guy's name. I'm sorry, wait a minute. No, the tennis star is Kamil Majerzak. The name of the CEO, where is it in my story here?
Peter Cezarek?
Something like that. But anyway, so this, Piotr, Piotr. Piotr.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so this guy, the CEO, Piotr, he was standing next to a kid, and this tennis player takes his hat off and he autographs it and goes to hand it to the kid. And this guy grabs it and
just snatches it right out of his hand.
And the kid starts crying like right away. The kid looks like he's probably grade school, like probably, I don't know, third grader, maybe something like that.
8,
maybe
9.
3rd, 4th grade, something like that. And he's like, come on, man.
Right.
And then the guy stuffs it into like his wife's like carry-on bag there. Or
wow.
He
did he not realize he was, in public? People could see him basically doing the taking candy from a baby.
Right.
This is the analog of the taking candy from a baby moment.
Yeah. Piotr Cezarek was the CEO's name. Do they have like a shortage of vowels in Eastern Europe?
Yes.
I mean, if we're going to import something to them or export something to them, let's export some vowels.
Yes.
Anyway. So
very difficult names.
So he's on camera. This is all over the place. It's just one of the biggest a-hole moves you've seen. It's kind of like the people in Major League Baseball who jump in front of a kid to get a baseball.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you see that multiple times every single year.
Yeah, and everybody comments on the video, right, because there's always video. You're in a stadium, right, you're being recorded.
Yeah.
And yes, there's always going to be backlash to that because we don't like when grown-ups like basically bully kids.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And so, by the way, the ending to the story on the tennis thing is that the tennis player, and you could see he signed it and put the hat up, and he was already looking away to like the next autograph. So he didn't see who grabbed the hat. I'm not actually, I don't think the tennis player did anything wrong. And he arranged to like meet the kid and give him some swag and take some pictures. And so, the kid was taken care of in the end because of the outcry, on this. So good on the tennis player. I'm just going to say Camille because I can pronounce that. But this guy just gets roasted.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Internationally,
absolutely.
He became public enemy #1 on social media.
It's kind of like, find this guy.
Yeah.
Find him.
And so you got all this international media now calling his company, wanting a statement.
Mm-hmm.
He deleted his social media like right away.
Oh yeah. You at that point you nuke your social media. You do.
But here's the thing. Speaking of that,
mm-hmm,
there was also these graphics going around saying he issues this statement, basically saying, well, the kid should have been faster, first come, first serve. And people went nuts. Like, what a jerk, doubling down on this.
That's crazy.
It is, because he never said it.
Okay. That's a problem.
It was fake.
All right. Okay.
Somebody got on social media and said, well, here's a statement, and wrote this most a-hole-ish statement you could possibly do.
Mm-hmm.
But frankly, when I read it, I'm thinking, I actually know guys who would talk like that.
Yes.
I mean, in this sort of like bravado bro culture that we've got now.
Oh yeah. You've probably met somebody who was,
right,
who would be like that, who would fit that statement. Yes.
And, but it turns out that guy never said that.
Mm-hmm.
Now he put out like a statement later, is like, this has been a moment, a lesson in humility, and so he probably called some lawyer or some PR person and
yes, like, provide me a statement, please,
right,
that I can.
I'm trying to not be fired.
Right. Yeah.
And so, but this thing went everywhere because I saw multiple people reposting this on the different platforms. What an incredible jerk. How could you do that? And they're showing the video, and he says, You got to move faster than that, all this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of redirected me to the point that we still don't think critically when we see stuff on social media. We still, collectively speaking, not maybe those who are involved in this show, including everybody who's watching or listening, we don't stop to ask, is that true or could it be completely fake? We just had a villain and we got and he is a villain.
Yes.
And we
have confirmed that at least that portion of it.
A villain. But we get some more ammo to go after him. It's what we wanted, and the rage bait was there, and we couldn't resist it. And we still don't tend to think. We're in an era of AI where these videos are getting very, very believable. And if we don't get to a point where we question basically everything in front of us, we are in for some crazy bad times.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not even willing to question a quote, right? And it's just a quote that was written someplace, right? Then how are we going to be prepared to question when there is quote unquote video of an incident or video of someone delivering a particular message, and it's not obviously satirical?
I'm still mad at that dog and that cat in that Ring camera video that flipped me off on social media.
Oh yeah, exactly. There are a whole bunch of videos.
I didn't do anything to them.
I didn't even know that cats and dogs had such long middle
I didn't know that either.
I mean, it's like Benjamin Franklin once said, don't believe everything you see on the internet.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah, come on, guys.
I mean, he was right. This is why I love the Founding Fathers.
One of the great quotes
because
of our
of
Founding
that
Fathers.
wisdom that they gave us.
Now, deeper into that, though, I think the monetization of social media has really been, because back in the day, you would do like Photoshop and stuff, but it was more to like just fool people and have some fun. There's no real incentive except for the person that came up with the idea, right? When it comes to something like X or, I don't know about Facebook, but Instagram, you can rage bait people. And then that engagement, you can make hundreds or thousands of dollars per month just by getting something that people will be mad enough about to share around. And so on the one hand, it's like, you got to be careful about it. But on the other hand, where does our own sense of self-control and our own sense of due diligence come into play to not reward this kind of behavior?
Because even the stories that go around that confirm that guy's statement turns out to be fake, even by the time that makes the rounds, and it's not going to make the same rounds because the story's dying off.
No. Yeah.
But if there's people making money off this, well, they've already made their money. They're not going to get refunded if it turns out to be. So the incentives are all screwed up.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the old quote, a lie gets around the world 3 times before truth before truth gets its pants on in the morning. Yeah. Basically the same thing. It's just, I think we amped up the speed. We amped up the volume for sure through social media. And the incentive structure is just all screwed up. So I don't know what the future holds for.
I want to protect the free market.
You got to protect the free market. You got to protect free speech. But what does that do to our ability as a society to discern truth?
So 2 lessons here. 1, be skeptical and question everything you see on social media and on the internet. We're back to that.
Yeah.
And 2, when you go to a ball game or a tennis match or whatever, the first thing you do when you sit down is look around. Is there a cute, well-behaved kid around you? Okay, if you catch the foul ball, know the cameras are going to be on you. You hold it up,
celebrate,
and then you hand it to the kid.
Right, exactly. And don't get in the kid's way. Yeah. You're going to have your tickets revoked. But time is running out to get your free tickets to see Steve Forbes at Lindenwood University this month. That's Thursday, the 18th. The details and link to get your tickets are at NewsTalkSTL.com. An Evening with Steve Forbes is brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise and Newstalk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself unless you suck.
On Newstalk STL. Colombo and Company.
Missouri redistricting and hopefully IP reform at the top of local headlines. We'll get the latest Thursday from Mo Rep Justin Sparks at 2:20, plus Dr. Randy Tobler at 3:05.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
weak weather disturbance nearby, spitting out a few spotty showers this morning, but the rain coverage is limited. Still, let's have the umbrella handy just in case. Otherwise, partly sunny, cooler than normal weather continues with highs in the low 80s this afternoon. Partly cloudy and dry tonight will drop to 63, and then tomorrow warmer, a high of 86, as we wait on the arrival of a cold front. Scattered showers and a few storms possible near that front late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, and then much cooler Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shea.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Escape to Stone Ledge Distillery in historic Defiance, Missouri, where Missouri-made spirits meet unforgettable experiences. Sip handcrafted cocktails and martinis in our lounge, unwind in the private cigar room, or soak up the outdoors on our outdoor patio and live music stage. Celebrate Stolock Ozark Highlands whiskey, Inversion vodka, and the best of Missouri spirits. One drink at a time. Mention NewsTalkSTL and get 10% off your tab. Visit stoneledgedistillery.com. Your getaway starts here.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
They were looking for the intelligence community assessment.
I don't think statute of limitations are going to impact. That report is pretty damning.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, they came, they saw, they protested, and then they probably went home and barbecued after the cameras left.
Yes, many things were accomplished over there.
do vegans barbecue? I mean, I've had these people eating like soy and lawn trimmings.
Black bean burger.
Roasted artichoke heart.
Which actually can be tasty.
It can be.
But as a side dish for an animal that you're about to consume. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I prefer to consume my vegetables via animal.
Okay, so this was, I would say this was the big story yesterday in St. Louis, but it was really the only story. Believe me, I've worked in TV newsrooms on a holiday when you're working your way up in the business and there is nothing going on. You've got to be really creative. So that's the time you do a protest. That's the time you do a rally.
Yeah.
Because you're almost certain to get plenty of coverage and you know, media covered it as they should have. By the way, if you saw this, let me know. 314-912-1019. Okay, because I want to talk about some media coverage on this. Our friends over at KMOV, their headline is hundreds took to the streets in support of Boeing workers and against redistricting in the state. Took to the streets. They were in Clayton.
That doesn't count.
They were at Shaw Park.
That doesn't count as the streets.
That's not the streets.
That doesn't count.
I mean,
no.
It was like we're marching against the gangs we took to the streets.
No.
We're going to have an uprising. oh, and we're going to have a quiche and a keynote after we're done because you're in Clayton.
Yeah, I mean, there's taking to the streets, and then there's walking the cul-de-sac. Those aren't the same things. Those aren't the same things, guys.
So I mean, I get.
Come on, man.
And the article was pretty fair and well done. I just had to crack up when it's like
they took to the streets.
Hundreds took to the streets, the mean streets of Clayton.
Yeah, all right. Hey, if there's gonna be a protest, that's where I want it to be.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, there's some good restaurants and shops.
I was just thinking, like, because after
the
after party, essentially. It's going to include a good cup of coffee.
I mean, there's a breakfast place real close to there. I mean, absolutely, yeah.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Blueberry pancakes?
Yes.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking
that's
about.
why when I have my next disruptive rally, I'm doing it near that because I've got reservations.
Yeah, exactly.
I use the app.
Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, I just ordered food from First Watch. After this, let's just take a moment.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. What do we want? Breakfast now.
Breakfast.
Okay. Now here was also funny. Mark Maxwell, who pretends to be a journalist, but he's actually just kind of an activist blowhard. He was reporting, and the Post-Dispatch also said this, over 1,000 turnout. And then they got called out like crazy on social media by a bunch of conservatives and bunch of, MAGA folks and things like that. It's like there weren't anywhere near that.
No.
There other people said, yeah, there were like 50 or 60 there or whatever. Now I wasn't there. I don't know. I can't say. But then he sort of dialed it back.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said and I'm quoting him now, between 300 and 1,000.
Whoa.
Between 300 and 1,000.
That is a very wide.
That's a big gap there.
Yeah.
That's quite the equivalent that immediately comes to mind is like that's you either got a D or an A on your paper.
Hey,
so somewhere between there.
Hey, son. So how did you do on your latest exam? It's like, well, I got anywhere between a D or an A.
Yeah.
All right. You want to narrow that down for me? Not really.
No. So I don't know how many people were there. I imagine there were hundreds there. I mean, unions have pretty big support in St. Louis.
Oh yeah.
And the rest of the state, not so much, maybe a little bit in Kansas City, but not compared to the rest of the state.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure they had union people and supporters and left-wing allies. There were people like from Jobs with Justice and all the left-wing activist groups, all the kind of intersectionality of leftists. So I'm sure they came up with a couple hundred people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You could do that.
Yeah.
You could pull a couple hundred, especially in this area.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And so they were targeting the, obviously the special session that's coming up. They say they're going to be in Jefferson City tomorrow protesting out there as well. And I suspect that they will. I mean, if you're part of the union, you may get paid to do it. That may be something you actually get paid to do.
Yeah, I think they do get a little stipend for their time there.
Right. So they're opposed to the redistricting plan, as we know. They're speaking out in support of the striking Boeing workers, which maybe it's just the circles I'm in, but I'm not sensing around St. Louis a lot of sympathy for the Boeing workers.
No, there isn't. I can't say that many people can sympathize with the idea that they would turn down the offer that they got.
Right.
Like it basically, a lot of people said, if I got that offer, would I turn it down? And most people are just looking at their situation saying, of course I would have taken that offer.
Yeah. If any of us in here got an offer that said, okay, 8% raise this year, and we'll make sure it's up to 20% over 4 years.
Right.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
I'm in.
Absolutely.
Oh, and
guaranteed?
And you're going to pay me more if I just show up to work.
Right.
And I have
bonuses.
And so I'm not. But the fact of the matter is, this is the tribalism of the left.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got plenty of tribalism on the right. Don't get me wrong. But the tribalism on the left is, if they strike, we support them regardless of whether they are right or wrong.
Right.
Because that's the exact concept of solidarity. That's what it means.
Yes.
Is it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. We're standing with you no matter what.
Yeah. Workers of the world unite, right?
Something like that. So they had their shindig there. And they were also obviously targeting the redistricting. And this is actually more of a fair debate than what anybody wants to let on.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, do I take them seriously? for their protest against it. Do I think they're coming from a sincere place? No,
absolutely not.
No, because if the Democrats ran the state, they would be demanding, a 4-4 map.
Well, we've seen what Democrats do when they get into power in these states in
Right.
terms of redistricting. We've seen what happens. That's California, that's New York, that's Illinois. All of these places that have upwards of 30 or 40% red votes every 4 years, but they do not have 30 to 40% of their representatives, being from that party. So it's obviously, the gerrymandering has been going on for a long time in a lot of these, and particularly in the blue states. I think they tend towards it more so than Republicans. So
and more unapologetically. Republicans
absolutely.
are now meeting the Democrats' energy on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's interesting too, because I looked into it, and there are states that have 0 Republican districts, even though there are definitely Republicans living in those states. Which, at that point, I mean, maybe a mass exodus will just flip one state and have it completely Republican. But so on the principle of the timing of it and the reason for it, very clear. It's coming upon primary soon, and it's coming from the top down.
Yep.
But at the same time, when you have places like, I don't know, sanctuary cities where you are artificially boosting your numbers by people that can't even legally vote, and then you are also gerrymandering. I mean, again, we keep hashing on Illinois' map, but it looks like somebody was water painting, and it's just like, yeah, that looks.
And they spilled it.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. Oops.
And
That's good enough.
they dropped the water bowl. Remember that Tupperware cereal bowl you used to use for the water in your water painting? They spilled that.
They spilled that. Well, yeah, exactly.
Like
that goes
they were
everywhere.
tie-dyeing the city or something. But yeah, so on the one hand, I get it, because I think our side is a little bit more intellectually honest about, like, well, wait a second, we're not totally on board. We understand the reasoning, but we're not totally on board. But when it comes to the opposition, it's like they're only pointing at us like, look at the fire behind you.
Right.
Look at what's going on. You're mad at us. We're at least trying to say, well, whatever. And then you guys allow all this nonsense, and you wonder why we're giving you such pushback.
Well, I actually really respect when Nick Schroer was on last time. And we were talking about this. And I asked the question point blank. I said, is this just gerrymandering for Republicans? And his answer was
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he said, because of this.
Right.
Now, whether I agree or I disagree with this sort of descent into, political chaos, I respect the answer because he was telling the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he wasn't afraid to say it. And that's typical of Nick Schroer. Yeah. That's just what he's going to do.
Yep, absolutely.
He called it what it is. He's like, yep, they did it. We're matching them. You know what? They stacked the deck. We're trying to stack it on this side.
Right.
So, he was very, very candid about that. And I actually respect that.
Right. Now, so then the left protests, which, they were out in force. So they're coming from a disingenuous place. And they basically, there is no other choice left for them unless they simply accept it's like, okay, well, that's fair. But how many leftists do you know who are going to come from a genuine place like that?
What's funny is I saw one article that says Missouri Democrats say they will not flee the state during special session. Here's the thing, though, is
that was a possibility.
Yeah. First of all, like, okay, well, do or don't, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I don't think that they can deny a quorum. I don't think there are enough Democrats in the legislature. I think Republicans would basically go, oh, that makes it easier for us. Now we don't have to, worry about the filibuster in the Senate, because that's all that they have is to make some noise, stomp their feet, try to get some sound bites for the upcoming campaign ads. And then take the loss. That's all the Democrats could do. They are completely irrelevant in this if Republicans vote together. And my guess, and I haven't talked to any of them over the weekend because I unplugged. My guess is that they have already written the script for this session.
And if you want to make some noise and get out of the fun, the next time there's a protest, maybe you could bring like a JBL speaker or something and connect the News Talk STL app to your phone.
There you go.
And then they can hear in real time how we're making fun of them. So one of my favorite features is that you can actually check the scheduled programming. So if you know that you're going to be driving somewhere, coming back home from a show, something of that nature, you can see exactly who's scheduled to be on, and you can check out some of our amazing new shows that maybe don't get as much love as the morning show. So check out the News Talk STL app on wherever you get your favorite apps from.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
All right. You know what season it is. And if you're a hunter, you're like, oh, yep, I know, Mike. Dove season. You know what season is coming up. You're going to say, well, Mike, you're talking about turkey season. You're talking about deer season. The answer is yes. Okay. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors. WhistlePigOutdoors.com is the website where you can take a look at what they do. But I am telling you, you got to go visit my friends in Troy. Their store is so freaking cool, man. And what was impressing me when I'm talking to Jason and his son Cole, they run the store there, and you're going to find out real quick why people drive from like 100 miles around to get their hunting gear and their equipment from Whistle Pig Outdoors. It's because, yes, they are experts in their field, but also they are really, really passionate about this. And the thing Jason told me that really stuck with me, he says, you can cry now and get the high quality gear for a little more money and then not have to worry about it for years and years and years. Or you can cry many times over by getting something that's deficient and of low quality. And that's why they don't do low quality. WhistlePigOutdoors.com is the website, but I'm telling you, head into Troy, go check them out. Tell Jason and Cole that you heard Mike talking about them on the radio and get ready for a successful hunting season.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Looking for excitement, fun, and delicious food for the whole family? Piccadilly Parwan has it all. Savor our scratch-made dishes. Nothing frozen. Every bite a true delight. Roll into fun at Piccadilly Palace for roller skating or race your heart out at Piccadilly Kart Racing. Join us for happy hour Monday through Friday, 4 till 6. Free select appetizers and drink specials. And don't miss our mouth-watering Sunday family dinners. Piccadilly Parwan on Audrey Lane in Union, Missouri, or online at PiccadillyPar1.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stiefel. Request a portfolio review from your Stiefel financial advisor at Stiefel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Out on the streets, that's where we'll meet. You make the night.
Hey, Chris Arp from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, like we just said, another special session from Missouri lawmakers that starts tomorrow. The Trump administration says it's going to appeal 2 more court rulings that went against it. And are we becoming nicer or more rude or ruder in America? It is 6:49. Let's do another news dump here.
The morning news dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke? Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
All right, Missouri lawmakers are headed back to the Capitol for another special session. This time it's to pass a Republican plan to redraw the state's congressional districts. That is, of course, at the request of President Trump. Protesters took to Shaw Park in Clayton on Monday to speak out against that special session. Protesters also voiced support for striking Boeing workers who walked off the job last month after rejecting a 20% pay increase offer. All right, we're getting more information on the shooter who killed 2 children and injured 18 others in a Minneapolis church Catholic school this past week. Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer was on ABC this week discussing the question as to why was nobody trying to help this madman who did this murder.
Clearly, this young man was crying out for help. Why was no one hearing him? Why was no one listening? It really is a tragedy, and that's the part that we need to know is why wasn't this identified?
Okay, so we're finding out more about his writings. He was obviously angry and confused and saw the mistake of his whole gender nonsense. I think his mother has blood on her hands because she enabled it.
Yes.
And then, of course, we'll get into this a little more depth, but he talked about don't mess with the gender stuff and don't mess with marijuana. He actually brought that up too. I thought was interesting. So we'll get into more details, but the reality is that it's really unlikely that nobody saw this potential.
Oh yeah.
And now to say, why didn't government do something? Well, there's a pretty good chance they didn't. He wasn't on their radar. Just another crazy guy. It's Minnesota. They celebrate this stuff, but it does show the dangers of affirming this absolutely hideous insanity.
Yeah. When I was going through and trying to read what the nonsense and crazy scattered manifesto that was written, they had mentioned I have to do something that's been in the back of my mind for a while. So this is not just like a sudden one day you wake up. This is something that probably had a lot of warning signs leading up that just nobody ever bothered to really pay attention to. And that's tragic.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about this in more depth here in a little bit, guys. Maybe 7:35 or so. Let's do,
oh yeah.
Yeah. 7:35. Let's do 7:35. Okay. All right. U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the Federal District ruling that President Trump overstepped his authority under an emergency power law and ruling that the president had no legal right to impose his new sweeping tariffs. We're talking about the so-called Liberation Day tariffs. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was speaking on Fox News Monday, says he's confident that the ruling will eventually be overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court.
President Trump, myself, the economic team in the cabinet believe that we are close to a tipping point where we could have financial instability due to these large and persistent trade deficits. So we are trying to head off a crisis.
Okay, so like I said before, go ahead and be mad at me if you want, but that's the United States Secretary of Treasury speaking complete economic nonsense.
Yeah, that's
what that is.
We're not in an emergency. This is we're not headed into a Great Depression or even a Great Recession.
Yeah.
I mean, stop with the emergencies.
Right.
Can we ban emergency? Actually, if there is a power that was given to any branch of government under the auspices of an emergency, it should immediately be withdrawn.
Right. And here's the thing is the courts did not rule that the tariffs themselves are illegal.
Right.
That's not what they ruled. They ruled that the president doesn't have unilateral authority and that Congress, per the Constitution, sets taxes.
Right. Now
that's the ruling.
Now I think the emergency powers is basically the way that Congress generally has been able to delegate some of its powers, its constitutional powers, to other branches, which is a bad idea for Congress to do in the beginning, in the first place. But they've been known to do that. We need to stop this. We need to stop every single one of that type of thing. The division of powers exists for a reason. We need to preserve it.
All right. A judge has blocked the Trump administration, a different judge, from deporting Guatemalan minors who illegally crossed the border without their families. Here's the story.
In a dramatic scene, the federal judge issued her order as a group of migrant Guatemalan children, ages 10 to 17, had already been boarded onto planes. She issued a temporary restraining order halting removal of the children for 14 days. Government lawyers maintain that the children were not being deported, but were being reunited with their parents or guardians. The children's lawyers dispute that portrayal, at least in some cases. Greg Clugston, Washington.
So you got children who were shipped into the U.S. probably through the Coyotes.
Yes.
But they illegally came into the United States without their families. I know that there are people who would be like, feel sorry for them. They're coming from Guatemala, which is listen, either we're serious about this or we're not.
Right. Either we're a country with laws and borders that we're supposed to control, or we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea, the concept of borders and being able to control who comes in and out of your country is kind of basic to the idea of having a sovereign nation to begin with. If you don't have borders, do you even have a nation?
And if we don't follow through on deporting them and reuniting them with their families back home, all that's going to do is encourage people to say, well, we can keep paying these coyotes who are doing God knows what to these kids along the way.
Yeah.
And I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. The lawyers are basically just protecting the $30,000 that they paid the coyotes to get the kid here.
Exactly. All right. Just a quick update on a story we've been following. The Trump administration has still not released the Epstein files. Okay.
Yep.
Moving on here. All right. Are we Americans becoming ruder Interesting question. Here's the story.
A lot of people think so. According to a Pew Research Center poll, 47% of adults say unkind behavior is on the rise in this country. 44% say it's about as bad as it's always been. And what behaviors bug people the most? The Pew study finds Americans are most unhappy with people who curse out loud in public places, wear clothing with obscenities on it, blast loud music, bring their dog to the office, or smoke around others. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
Wow.
I would actually like you to bring your dogs to the office.
Actually, yeah.
But other than that, I get it. I mean, it's like, is it rudeness or just we're not as classy as we used to be?
Yeah, that's a good distinction, I think. But I think they're related, though.
Yeah.
I think, classy people try not to be rude with each other. I mean, now I've seen some classy fights before where people are exchanging not quite insults but not quite compliments too, and those are fascinating. But guys, you're right, we have become ruder just as a base, as a standard. I was thinking about basically people going full Karen and stuff. It's like, I'm not sure if that's on the rise, but just starting with the cussing in public, that's huge.
Yeah. And honestly, I still kind of cringe at the vulgarities on shirts. I mean,
yeah,
I don't think I'm a prude by any means.
Oh, sure.
And
no.
I don't think we're becoming more prudish. I think it's like, really, is that necessary?
Right.
Yeah. All right. The Cardinals take another loss at home on Monday. They were on the wrong end of an 11-3 outcome with the A's. Game 2 of that series is this evening at 6:45. All right, here's what's going on. Redbirds now below 500. They're 68-71 on the season, 17 games in behind in the division. In the wild card race, Cardinals are 6.5 games out.
Tim Jones here. When life changes, which it does, you need someone you can trust, and that's Todd Sivia. The non-stuffy attorneys at Sivia Law specialize in estate planning and elder law with 7 convenient area locations. 833-995-WILL. 833-995-WILL is how you reach them. CiviaLaw.com. The first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me receive a complimentary $300 strategy session. The non-stuffy attorney lawyers, Civia Law, 833-995-WILL.
Jamie Allman here, and I want you to hide out with me 10 minutes south of 270 in Gravois at the wonderful Hideout, the best burgers you're going to find anywhere in the land, and yet people still eat Dave's Chili right there at 90-degree temperatures. Music every day, it seems, people, on the weekends especially, and dinners and lunch served every single day of the week. The coldest beer and the best staff you're going to find, the Hideout right there in High Ridge.
Looking for treasures from the past? Discover Mimi's Antiques Attic, your locally owned and family-operated treasure hunt destination. Explore 16,000 square feet of antiques, crafts, collectibles, and designer items across 225 unique rental spaces. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 6 at 1000 Warrenton Shops in Warrenton. Mimi's Antiques Attic, where every visit uncovers new treasures.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. We will hear from President Trump later today with some kind of announcement from the White House.
It's triggering wild speculation across the internet as to what it could be. We won't fuel the rumor mill, but there have been plenty of wild rumors in the past few days about the president's health. That prompted Mr. Trump to post to his Truth Social account, quoting here, "Never felt better in my life." On Sunday, he was spotted playing golf at the Trump National Golf Club in Sterling, Virginia.
Correspondent Ken Lorman. The president is eyeing Chicago as the next city to benefit from his crackdown on crime, although Democrat city and state leaders object. As a desperate search for survivors continues, the death toll from the devastating Afghanistan earthquake continues to rise. It's now topping 1,400.
The death toll from the strong earthquake in Afghanistan has risen to 900, and 3,000 people at least have been injured. Rescue teams are scouring the area for survivors. In Kunar province, villagers talk in front of destroyed homes. The 6.0 magnitude quake struck late Sunday night in a mountainous region, flattening villages and leaving people trapped under rubble for hours. The injured are being evacuated, so the figures may change significantly. Yusuf Hamad, spokesman for Afghanistan's National Disaster Management Authority, says it was the third strong earthquake to shake the country in recent years. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Congress getting back to work today following its August break. Lawmakers are especially keen on averting a partial government shutdown at the end of the month. Longtime Democrat Congressman Jerry Nadler of New York announcing that he will not be seeking re-election the end of his current term in 2026. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures in the red. The Dow futures down 265 points. NASDAQ futures off 228. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A weak weather disturbance nearby, spitting out a few spotty showers this morning, but the rain coverage is limited. Still, let's have the umbrella handy just in case. Otherwise, partly sunny, cooler than normal weather continues with highs in the low 80s this afternoon. Partly cloudy and dry tonight will drop to 63, and then tomorrow warmer, a high of 86, as we wait on the arrival of a cold front. Scattered showers and a few storms possible near that front late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, and then much cooler Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my good friend Harry Parker and the ultimate seafood dining experience at Gulf Shores, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com. Gulf Shores offering a unique dining experience with a vast, mouth-watering menu of all of your favorite delicious dishes, something for everyone's taste or palate. 3 convenient locations, Edwardville, Creve Coeur, and St. Peter's. Dine in, carry out. They've got a food truck, too. Friendly staff looking forward to seeing you, making your dining experience one you will remember. Gulf Shores RestaurantandGrill.com.
NewsTalk STL, the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise, and the Young America's Foundation welcome Steve Forbes to Lindenwood University for an inspiring evening on how free enterprise and entrepreneurship make America great. Discover how free markets and small business drive innovation, prosperity, and opportunity. Thursday, September 18th at Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center for the Arts. And this in-person event is free. Reserve your tickets now at HamlinInstitute.org. Brought to you by Mid-Rivers and West News Magazines.
Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Phifer.
I triple saw stereo!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
I think my first Kofifi dance of the week was a little weak on that one.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Yeah, well, we're coming off of the long weekend.
I know.
We got to ramp up to it.
Just saying. All right. So President Trump wants it, and it looks like Missouri Republicans are about to deliver it.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking about one more GOP vote in Congress coming from the Show Me State that is I think that's what's getting all the attention on the media, but just as important as the initiative petition reform, which we'll talk about here in a second as well. It is 7:06 right now. Got Gabe here, got Jerome here. My name is Mike, and we're now joined by State Representative Ben Keathley. Ben, appreciate you being back on the program here. Okay, so as expected, the governor makes the call, does it Friday afternoonish. And so just enough information for the leftists to kind of rage bait everybody. And we're going into this tomorrow, I guess it is. Let me ask a kind of wonky question on this. After the last special session didn't go particularly smoothly, it seems to me that there's probably some pressure within the GOP to say, guys, we need to get this one right. We need to have everybody on board. What do the conversations look like heading into this? And are Republicans generally on the same page when it comes to redistricting?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on this morning too. But I think this special session we're going into looks remarkably different than the one in June over the stadium tax credits. I think we have significantly more buy-in from all parts of the Republican Party, and I think we're in a lot better shape going forward. I think that's one of the reasons it took a little bit of time to officially call the special. I think it's always important to make sure you have a path forward. And you're going to actually be able to make some headway, and particularly on things like redistricting. Boundaries can be drawn a lot of different ways. IP reform have a few different directions we can go. It's important that we kind of have a lot of that stuff kind of worked out what the best path is going to be going forward on those bills.
Morning, Ben. Gabe Phifer here. So what is the new map going to look like, essentially? I guess a lot of people don't really know what the current map looks like, but who drew it? How are we going with this? You know, is this the 7-1 map that was introduced by the Freedom Caucus a while back?
Yeah, is this Adam Schnelting's map, basically?
Right.
The maps are very similar. I don't know if the boundaries go exactly where. All the same, there's always you have to have these down to be right by the person, so everything matches right. So boundaries can kind of at a very fine level can kind of move. But I think you brought up an interesting point. Do people even know what the current map looks like? If you put the new map side by side with the current map, I think you're going to have a difficult time deciding which one's gerrymandered. The only way anyone can say one is gerrymandered, do they like the result and what it yields? But the new map that's being proposed is significantly better in a lot of objective ways under the independent standard, which the governor was, pointed out when he announced the special session on Friday.
Yeah, it was interesting because after the last census, I actually moved from Cory Bush's district into Ann Wagner's district because my street was one that got tweaked on a little bit. What a pleasant surprise. I didn't even know that was in the process of happening, and I do this for a living. And we just got a notice that, by the way, you're in Ann Wagner's district. I'm like, thank God for that. But let me follow up on what you were just saying. We're visiting with State Representative Ben Keathley, because I mean, obviously we know that the chain of events here. I don't even know if mid-decade redistricting has ever been done in Missouri or anywhere else for that matter. The president said, I want another vote. This has been pretty above board and transparent. Redraw the districts to give me more votes in Congress. And I don't even necessarily know that gerrymander is a dirty word at this point, because it's what's happening in other states, but it's drawing the districts to get the outcome of one more Republican vote. So when you look at like the protests that happened yesterday, and there's going to be a protest at the Capitol tomorrow, is there room for that discussion, or is this just a matter of, listen, this is what our goal is, we're going to get it done, and then we're going to move on and go back into session in January?
Well, I think a lot of time was put into making sure there was a lot of unification, at least among the Republicans, on what that map was going to look like. I think the map that's been put out, that the governor's office has presented, and that a lot of Republicans have already signed off on, I echo them in saying it's a strong map. It splits less counties, it splits less cities. It keeps all the congressmen the current congressmen in their current seats, which you can't say about the current map. So in a lot of ways, it's just objectively strong of a map. I think gerrymandering is becoming a word like fascism for the left, where they've overused it into meaningless. Gerrymandering now seems to just mean, well, we just don't like that another Republican might get elected.
Now, IP reform is also on the table. So why now instead of in the regular session in January, especially since the GOP has kind of failed to deliver that for several years now?
Well, IP reform has been has been a really difficult process to go through. And if you follow us on the Freedom Caucus, you certainly have seen the struggles that we've gone through. IP reform needed to be done decades ago, needed to be done years ago when Republicans really started pushing. Every year we wait is another year where our Constitution gets eroded and handed over to the special interests who buy for special provisions year after year after year. As soon as we have the ability to go forward, I'm certainly a proponent of let's get it done, because we see how these things tend to slip away as other games get played in session and hostages get taken in the form of various bills.
Yeah, and let's talk about what's at stake here. I mean, obviously, we have to try to undo the horrible old Amendment 3, which is why we have the new Amendment 3. But I just read another article today. It was on the Missouri Independent. Follow them on Blue Sky. That let's talk about the special interest trying to basically get rid of school choice through initiative petition. And so those are on the back burners as well. They're trying to get the signatures. But essentially, to your point about special interest, essentially being able to buy a law or buy a constitutional amendment, that's just demonstrably true. I mean, we've seen that. You cannot argue that does not happen, even though obviously voters eventually have to say yes or no to something. So what does good initiative petition reform look like? Because there's higher signature requirements, there's higher vote requirements, there's concurrent popular vote plus number of counties or number of districts. What is a good initiative petition reform? And is there enough consensus on any of those to actually get past this time when there's been so many failures year after year after year, like you said?
Right. And the threshold, I think, is the most important question. The bottom line is it's just bad policy to allow it to be easier to amend your Constitution and to pass a law. It's a backward system, but that's what we've been living under in Missouri for decades at this point. So the number one thing is that the threshold just needs to require more consensus from Missourians. 50% plus one of voters who show up, particularly in low turnout years, should not be driving policy at a constitutional level. Because we've seen if you spend in the right amount of money in the right election cycle, you can put just about, and you put the right ballot candy on it, you can put anything in the Constitution. We have to protect the integrity of this process. And I think right now you have more and more Republicans who are understanding concurrent majority as a way to ensure that we have geographic buy-in throughout the entirety of the state, that special interests can't just use their millions of dollars to go into one particular voting demographic or one particular district that's good for their cause and just run up the score in that, particularly in midterms like we have coming up in 2026 where you have lower turnout. Anything could happen, and that's a real dangerous system for Missourians.
Okay, could you real quick explain, when you talk about the concurrent side of it, explain what's on the table there, because a lot of people may not know what that means as it relates to initiative petition reform.
So what's going to be on the table, I think what we're going to be considering, what's long been talked about, is a system whereby it's not just a majority of voters statewide, but you need to reach a majority of voters in each congressional district too. At times that's looked at 5 out of 8. I think what's being proposed here is a much stronger standard, requiring buy-in from the entirety of the state in that it has to pass in all 8 congressional districts.
Now, is there much drama to expect from the veto session part of all this?
The governor really didn't veto anything outside. Yeah. I mean, he didn't veto anything outside of line item budget issues. And there was a significant amount of those, but I think that reflects the overall need to just kind of cut spending here. I think Republicans understand that it can be difficult at times, particularly if you're one Republican or one member of the General Assembly that's had their item cut. But I don't see a whole lot of issues with any of the governor's vetoes. I think the veto session itself won't take a lot of attention. A lot more time is going to be given to the special.
Yeah, that's my guess. That you're absolutely right about that. Once again, we're visiting with Representative Ben Keathley. I've just got a minute or so left here. So is this going to be a matter of try to get in, strike while the iron's hot, pass something and get out? Or is it possible that this could drag on for, a couple of weeks or more?
Well, you never know, particularly when things hit the Senate floor and individual members can have a lot more say in the process over on that side of the building. But I think what you're seeing going forward and the time it took to build up to actually calling the special on Friday, I think the governor has diligently worked towards making sure he's put something forward that Republicans and really anyone acting in good faith can look at and say, this is just the right thing to do for Missouri. So, I'm not going to say there may not be tinkering on the edges, and I can never guarantee what happens once you subject it to the legislative process. But I think we're in about as good a shape as possible to put one foot in front of the other and make sure the right thing's being done for Missouri.
All right. Say Representative Ben Keathley, good chat with you again. Thanks so much for being on. We've tagged you on social media already, but let's go ahead and give your website out there if people want to look you up.
BenKeathley.com, BenKeathley. I appreciate it, Mike.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon, man.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye.
All right. 314-912-1019.
Our left of center friend Scooter on I guess it was Rumble. He said, hey, IP reform is basically a way of saying they want voters less involved in state politics. And to that, I kind of say, well, yeah,
if you're talking about direct democracy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think basically you have too high a view of direct democracy.
Right.
We live in a republic, and I think we need to maintain that for reasons.
Well, and it's not even a matter of saying voters can't pass something.
Well, and that's the other thing too. The voters can still pass laws.
Yeah.
Essentially.
But it should be more than 50% plus one, especially for the constitutional amendment level. And by the way, I'm talking about making it harder to pass stuff I want to.
Right.
And so, to some degree we just disagree on whether or not that's a good or bad thing.
I guess so.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Producer Joey V here. I hope you have a safe and wonderful Labor Day weekend. Tim, Chris, and I will be back together in studio live with you on Tuesday.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris. How are you, Vic? I don't want to put anybody else down, but when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. Join us for the annual St. Louis County Lincoln Reagan Day Dinner on Saturday, September 27th at the River City Casino Hotel Ballroom. Hear from top Missouri state and federal officials, plus special guest federal IRS agent Joseph Ziegler, who played a key role in the Hunter Biden investigation. Enjoy dinner, networking, and a silent auction. For tickets, call Renee Artman at 314-398-6667 or email reneeartman1530@hotmail.com.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs, attorney at law, has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs, attorney at law. Call 636-949-0010, extension 3 today, or visit colecombs-law.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, socialists say we're being cruel. Gabe, we're starving people to death.
We are?
Yes, or something like that.
I wasn't aware of this.
No, I know. You were busy doing stuff. But the food stamp reforms actually officially took effect on Monday.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So now we're cutting people off from the Snickers bars and whatnot. Okay.
Well,
All right.
that's a different thing, actually.
Oh,
so
wait, that already happened, didn't it?
right.
Okay,
already
that one already happened. So what's
And
this one?
Did you notice I used the first word there, socialist?
Yes.
Because those who are throwing a fit about the food stamp stuff, this is one of the socialist programs that we have in this country, and it's at one point was a third rail. You couldn't even begin to talk about reforming it without being labeled, a right-wing extremist on this. But let's talk about what's actually happening. So the new rules that take effect today have to do with work requirements and have to do with eligibility. Okay, then we'll get to the other stuff that's already taken effect.
Right.
And so if you are able-bodied, you're not like on some, permanent, disability, extreme disability. If you are able-bodied, you are expected to work or to volunteer in community service 20 hours a week for the most part. And then like there's a gap, like 3-month period you could do every 2 or 3 years. But for the most part, you're expected to contribute something.
Right.
Either through a job and working, or if you say nobody will hire me for whatever reasons, then you're expected to at least try to volunteer and do something. So that's what went into effect. And then the citizenship rules officially went into effect on Monday as well. How is that controversial? Now, the work requirement thing, I know that there are a lot of people on the left is like, you shouldn't have to work to eat because it's a right.
Wait.
Well, when you declare it a right,
wait a minute.
Then you're asking me to buy into, it's kind of like, a universal basic income. If anything's declared a right, then somebody else has a responsibility to give it to you.
Right.
Which means you have a right to their money that they earned.
Yeah. Wait. I'm recalling a political party that kind of rested on the idea that some people are entitled to other people's labor. I'm racking my brain. Do you remember?
Right.
You remember a particular political party?
There
that was really,
one that did that once.
really did that. Yeah. Okay.
But so that's when it went into effect.
Okay.
And the citizenship aspect of this,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that if you are not a citizen but legal otherwise, there are still cases where you could qualify to get some of these benefits. But here's the thing that the Trump administration is doing 100% right on this, is changing how we're talking about this to, one, put the spotlight on, no, this really is a financial burden on everybody else.
Right.
And it's okay to talk about that. It's okay to say, yeah, I don't want you to starve, but understand that you're getting free stuff is coming out of my pocket, and my biggest expenses tax-wise typically are the federal government.
Yes.
And so understand that it's okay for us to point to you and say, you're contributing nothing and you're taking from other people against their will.
Right. And very much a beggars can't be choosers situation
Or
here.
shouldn't be.
Yeah. I mean, that's the rule that my dad brought me up is like, what was the term he always used? He said, whoever pays the piper calls the tune.
Yes.
That was one of my dad's favorite sayings to me, because the idea being that, look, I'm the one providing this. So who are you who is receiving from me to question what you're receiving? It's like, if you want to receive something different, go get it yourself.
Okay, so along those lines, now you mentioned like the junk food and stuff.
Yeah.
That was what, 2 or 3 weeks ago,
Yeah,
I think that RFK Jr. made those changes.
Mhm.
And I'm not a fan of RFK Jr., but I think he was right about this. And that's something that needed to be done years and years and years. It should have never been allowed in the first place.
Yes, absolutely.
All of us have seen people abusing that. We've seen it at the convenience stores. We've seen it at the grocery store. We've all seen it. You know, you get the junk food, you know, you get the fountain drinks at the convenience store and you pay for it with the EBT card. We've seen that. And we're thinking, why on earth am I paying for you to fatten yourself up and then cost me more money with your type 2 diabetes down the road? And also at times when I was a single parent, I was working 2 or 3 jobs. I was barely getting by. It just pissed me off.
Oh, absolutely.
That they were getting stuff that I couldn't afford. I mean, there was a time I probably income-wise as a single parent of 2 small kids, remember my daughter was 4 and my son was 6 when I became a single parent, when my first wife left us. I probably qualified. My guess.
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind to actually apply. I would have never taken those. I found a way. But now let's talk about these videos that I'm seeing of people throwing a fit.
Oh yeah, because
now
they can't do what they want with our money, essentially.
Okay, are these real or are these
rage bait?
Are these rage bait people? Are these skits? I mean, are these parodies? People couldn't be that stupid and clueless, or could they?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's
really.
I think it's the same as the single chick videos you've seen about don't settle for this and blah blah blah. I think about half of it. I'm just wild guess. I think about 50% is people trying to get a rise out of others because they're feeding the algorithm. Jerome, you mentioned this, the monetized social media system. It pays you for views, it pays you for shares, it pays you for comments. If you can get people arguing in your comment section or yelling at you in the comment section, if you can get people sharing it to say, look at this fool do something, all of that counts positively towards your algorithm. So yes, it actually pays to rage bait. So half of it's going to be rage bait, but the other half, I think first of all, they believe the fake half. They think the fake half is real. So they're like, oh, there are other people who feel the way I do. So I'm going to stand in solidarity with them essentially and post my own video complaining about this thing or talking about this thing. And there are real people who are that entitled and they think
stupid
and that's stupid to put their entitlement out for the world to see.
There's a famous quote. I can't remember who it's by off the top of my head, but it's, think about how dumb the average person is and realize that there are people out there even dumber than that, right?
I think that was George Carlin.
It could have been. I mean, he had to, for better for worse.
That sounds about right.
But so I've dealt with this personally on social media where there are people that cultivate an entire echo chamber of exclusively people that validate their worldviews. So I'm going out there, let's say, for example, I want all my free stuff on EBT because I deserve it for whatever reason. Right. Now people are pushing back and saying, well, why don't you have 2 working arms, 2 working legs? You can go stand at a drive-through. You can go do the jobs that will pay you, that are understaffed, that are just not glorious. And they don't want to do that, but they don't like being told they're wrong. So they go online and then they say, hey, look, here's what I'm dealing with. Here's how bad my life is and yada, yada, yada. And they have specifically cultivated people that will say, you are so right. That is, I can't believe that they are doing this injustice to you, yada, yada, yada. And it's rewarding them for doing so. And I've dealt with people that not to this with this specific issue, but other issues where that's what they do. And they will go out there. They have people that for some reason support their nonsense. And it just doesn't make any sense. But yes, I think a lot of it is very much authentic. There is a small sliver that are trolling just because they think it's funny to make fun of them. But I think the majority of them, it's either monetization of the channel or it's that I know my followers will back me up. And that means I'm right, even though nobody else thinks I'm right.
I saw one who said it was a woman complaining about the EBT changes. And she goes, my kid loves his chips and I can't buy chips now. He snacks on those all day long. And we can't, and they listed all these, and
it's like, this gotta be a skit.
I'm like, this has got to be, because she looked very, do I say it?
Do it. She looked like she's had a few chips.
She looks like she had a few chips in the trailer.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I mean, and so I'm just saying the stereotypes were there.
Right. So double wide isn't just a description of the trailer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And I'm just thinking, you can't think that the majority of people are going to agree with you and be sorry for you. And others like you say, my kid doesn't deserve a popsicle. No, your kid doesn't deserve a popsicle. It's great if your kid can get one. Go buy it. They're like 49 cents.
And now you're blocked, and they're going to replace you with somebody else that's going to say, you are so right. How dare they do that to you, even though it was your choices that got you in the situation.
Right.
Yeah, social media, I think, does support very much so the sort of mental illness that comes with the narcissism in our society, but also another kind of craziness, another sort of mental illness that can get really deadly. We're getting more information about the young madman who murdered school children in Minnesota. What we're learning is confirming what everyone should know: allowing and affirming the gender insanity isn't just wrong, it's dangerous and deadly. We'll get into that at 7:35.
But before we get to that, Larry Connors actually has quite a touching story about a boy spending time with his father. So stay tuned for that during the information segment, and we'll be right back.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A weak weather disturbance nearby, spitting out a few spotty showers this morning, but the rain coverage is limited. Still, let's have the umbrella handy just in case. Otherwise, partly sunny, cooler than normal weather continues with highs in the low 80s this afternoon. Partly cloudy and dry tonight will drop to 63, and then tomorrow warmer, a high of 86, as we wait on the arrival of a cold front. Scattered showers and a few storms possible near that front late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, and then much cooler Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
This Labor Day, we honor the hard work that builds our families, our communities, and our country. At Snooze Mattress Company, we believe everyone deserves rest that restores, recharges, and rewards the work you do every day. Starting September 5th, save up to $725 on top brands like Tempur-Pedic, Serta, and Beauty Rest. Plus, experience Dream Mapping, our way of helping you find the perfect mattress tailored for you. Proudly local, grateful for your hard work, here to help you rest well, because if you don't snooze, you lose.
Larry Connors Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connors Commentary on News Talk STL.
Shortly after I turned 12, my dad said, "Son, if you earn the money, you can buy your own shotgun for dove hunting." Well, I went to work immediately, pushing our lawnmower all over our neighborhood and almost a mile away. Every dollar I got, I put into a Prince Albert tobacco can. Yes, every dollar smelled like tobacco. And nightly, I'd take it out to count and recount. I'd been to a White's Auto store, found the shotgun I wanted, finally had the money for the shotgun and 1 box of shells. My mother bought me a shotgun case. Then I learned about something I didn't know existed, something called taxes. Mom paid them. So that fall, I'm with my dad and we're dove hunting. He's got a Remington 12-gauge pump. I have my 410, the smallest of shotguns, and bolt action. Since I was buying my own shells, I had to get good in a hurry. With that bolt action, I had to quickly chamber another round to get a shot off. You know, I worked at it hard, and it worked out for me. Probably helped me become an expert rifleman in the Marines. I still have that shotgun and the case under my bed. Maybe I'll get it out this dove season.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888 0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on News Talk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, I know this is a little heavy coming out of a holiday weekend, but his own writings give us more evidence for what everybody should already know, guys.
Yeah.
Affirming, excuse me, got a little coffee down the windpipe there. Affirming gender confusion is not just evil, it is life threat.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And not just life threatening for the individual.
Right.
Which it is, honestly, but based on the self-harm data we have on people who suffer from gender dysphoria, but it's also deadly for us too, for society at large, as we've seen with this the radical increase in trans violence.
Well, and here's the thing is common sense should tell you that when you affirm and you celebrate and you encourage such an extreme level of mental illness that there are no healthy outcomes possible. Now there's, for instance, if somebody's 25 or 30 or 35 or 40 or 45 and they decide that they want to live like somebody else. They want to disembark from reality. You know what? That's your right as an adult. I am going to fight for your right to live however you want. I will fight against your claim that everybody else should be required to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, if you want to wear a dress, wear pigtails, you got a right to do it.
Sure.
You're not immune from the social consequences of it.
Right.
And if you walk in and heels in a dress in your workplace and they go, dude, what are you doing? No, call me Janet now. Call me
ma'am.
It's ma'am. Okay. Ma'am, you're
Right.
fired. You know,
Yeah.
and I think they have a right to do that.
Sure.
But what we're seeing from this Robert Westman, aka Robin Westman, is that not only did he fall to this ideology, this mental illness, not only is it obvious that his mother enabled it by signing off on the name change when he was 17 years old, but he now had enough self-awareness to know that this was damaging to him.
Yeah.
And we know that through his diaries, at least what's been released.
Yeah, his own writings confirm what basically we've all been saying about this, the damage that it does to the psyche of individuals who are coddled in this mentality.
And it's morbidly fascinating to me that this young man had enough self-awareness to write in his diary, nobody should be doing this.
Yeah.
At least when they're a minor.
Right.
He also said, don't mess with gender and don't mess with weed, which I thought was interesting. I didn't see
Weird
that one. I didn't see that one coming. But like you've said many times, Gabe, this is why this is the hill to die on. And I would say for conservatives, but this should be the hill to die on for every decent person. If you're somebody who advocates for the so-called trans thing, you think that schools should be encouraging it, especially you think that they should be the safe haven from parents. If you're somebody, not only are you on the wrong side of the issue, what you are capitulating is evil. And what you're doing is damaging, possibly lifelong damage to this young person.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the supporters of this are like, they'll take a snap. They'll take a momentary picture and say, look how happy they are. Look how joyous they are to hear their new name, or look at how joyous they are to finally get to wear what they want out in public. And they'll take a snapshot of that moment and they'll say, okay, this is the outcome that comes from coddling this mentality, and completely ignoring the self-harm, the destruction, the self-mutilation that comes along with all these stuff. It's like seeing somebody tripped out on acid dancing at a party. It's like, look how joyful they are, but ignoring the fact that, they're going to end up in a ditch someplace, ODing on barbiturates or something. So it's like you can't coddle this stuff. This stuff is destructive, even if it looks as though, even if they'll tell you, well, but this is what makes me happy. No, it's not.
Yeah, this is, and I have no idea whether this guy did any of the chemical stuff, and it appears that he did not have surgery.
Right.
So this is all just the mental aspect of this. The New York Post has reported on the writings that Westman had, that police have now gotten a hold of, and some of this has been released. The New York Post, I'm looking at hot air on this. The New York Post had previously reported that Westman had grown tired of being trans and despaired of ever really being a girl, meaning knowing that he's not.
Right.
And they quote these diaries here, quoting, I only keep it, meaning the long hair. I only keep it because it is pretty much my last shred of being trans. I am tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself. He wrote, according to a translation by the Post, because he wrote in a variety of things. It goes on to quote him by saying, I can't cut my hair now, as it would be an embarrassing defeat, and it might be a concerning change of character that could get me reported. It just always gets in my way. I will probably chop it on the day of the attack. Goes on to say, I'm quoting here, I regret being trans. I wish I was a girl. I just know I cannot achieve that body with the technology we have today. I also can't afford that. I regret being trans.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's acknowledging that he made a destructive choice.
Yeah. And then again, in the YouTube videos that were taken down, there have been people that were able to recover some of them and take screenshots of the writings. And it's very clear at a certain point in these writings, they're reflecting on how this has all affected the family, how this has affected their personal life. And one of the things that they mention is that they think for some reason that they have cancer, that there are pains that I don't know if they were officially diagnosed, but they attribute it to, I don't want to be terminally ill in the hospital. I want to go out on my own terms. I want to do something I've been thinking about for a long time. So there's a clear mentality of this, and we don't know if that means the destructive thing that they did, or if it had to do with the taking of one's own life, because there's an expert that says that there are two types of people that do these things. People who want to harm people, no matter if it costs them their own life, and people that want to die so badly, it doesn't matter who they harm. So when you mix into this gender stuff, you mix into the fact that it does not, you confirm yourself to a lifestyle that you think in theory is going to make you extremely happy. And then it does not bring you that joy that you wish. Now you're left not only, for lack of a better term, embarrassing yourself, but also, like they said, they can't go back and undo all that, because I mean, they already made this huge spectacle of it. It's just a very difficult thing to say whether or not, I mean, especially if they were on the hormones. I mean, you think about roid rage, right? Which in sports is a huge thing.
Absolutely, it is.
So
I've seen it. It ain't pretty.
Oh yeah. And then same thing if you take a testosterone booster because you think you've got low testosterone. I've seen people that go and they get those because they want to be more masculine, and then all of a sudden they're just a huge jerk. So messing with your hormones at all is going to result in something that could then amplify these sorts of thoughts in your head. And it's just obviously everybody in that person's life ended up failing them in one way or another, including the doctors, including whatever psychologist or therapist they were talking to, if they talked to one at all.
If they talked to one at all, yeah.
And even worse, if they didn't, and they still, got that from the mom. But it's
and where's dad?
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with that. Is why is it consistent that when there's an absent parent in the home, specifically the father, that
dad,
all of a sudden there's these issues with emotional regulation, with behavioral regulation, with people that just, it seems like every time there's a missing father, the child is just unable to control their anger and their rage, and they have self-esteem issues and all sorts of other issues that go with that.
Yeah, it's an identity crisis. I mean, it honestly an identity crisis. We talk about how, the trans identity and how people identify as certain things, and they're confused about it. And I think that comes from the lack of identity that comes with not having a relationship with your father. I think on some psychological, spiritual level, I think the science shows this, that fathers provide a sort of identity to their children. Yep. They do. So without him in their life, it's difficult for them to regulate that. It's difficult for them to understand who they are to begin with, let alone what their purpose is on the planet, and that in and of itself can create crisis. So we're kind of living in the midst of this right now, and I think the trans stuff is a manifestation of that, but it's possibly the worst kind, and because it specifically denies reality on such a fundamental level. And like you, Mike, I'm kind of morbidly fascinated with the level of awareness he had to understand that he was living this lie, and he just couldn't take it anymore.
So the next time your leftist friends, tell you you're homophobic, which, by the way, almost every phobic term is just complete nonsense and BS. But you're bigoted, you're, not supporting kids.
You're a hater.
You'd rather have a dead son than a living daughter, all that kind of garbage that they say, which is completely dishonest. Whenever they try to take the moral high ground, you slap down that argument.
Absolutely.
Right away, because this needs to be something we look back on history and do it with a tremendous amount of regret. And we need to hold our ground. School boards, in academia, in businesses, in media, we've got to confront it every chance we can.
And don't forget, Steve Forbes will be in town this month. That's this month, people. We'll be there and hope to see you at Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center on Thursday, the 18th. Tickets are free, and you can get yours at NewsTalkSTL.com. An Evening with Steve Forbes is brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise and NewsTalkSTL.
Have you ever done one of those landscaping projects around your house? You know that they can be a couple things at the same time. They can be really hard work and exhausting, and they can also be really, really rewarding, especially in St. Louis, where we love our bricks and we love our pavements and we love that decorative stuff. That's why you've got to talk to my friends at Lime Concrete Block Company. They have been supplying St. Louis since 1947. They know what they're doing. LimeBlock.com is where you can get pictures of some of the work that they have helped people do. You come in with a plan, they will tell you what you need, and they'll even give you advice on how you can get it done as well. Whether that is something very functional like a retaining wall. But let me tell you something, retaining walls can be absolutely beautiful. My next door neighbor has a beautiful retaining wall. You see those all over the place in Clayton and Creve Coeur and Ladue and places like that. Garden walls can be very decorative, whether it's just freestanding walls or even those outdoor fireplaces, and you want to put some of those together. Precast concrete, ready mix concrete, you name it, they will get you from idea to a more beautiful home. LimeBlock.com. Just put that into your GPS. It'll take you right there, or you can give them a call. The phone number to get in touch is 638-9940, 314-638-9940. But check out the website. Go give them a visit. Just ask them questions. They will make sure that your project is beautifully done. LimeBlock.com.
Is your backyard a battleground every evening? Swatting, itching, kids running back inside? Hey, Tim Jones here. I just found out about a new local company, Mosquito Nix, that can take care of all that and more. They offer permanent automatic mosquito and tick protection, not just fogging, real coverage you don't have to think about. They've helped over 40,000 families nationwide take back their yards with their automatic mosquito control system, Now they're offering a free fogging treatment to introduce themselves to St. Louis families. Call 636-698-1980 now or visit MosquitoNix.com. Say goodbye to bug bites this summer. Service area restrictions do apply. Tell them Tim Jones sent you. Ask about their back-to-school special. St. Louis summers don't last forever, but mosquito bites shouldn't either. Call 636-698-1980. Visit MosquitoNix.com. That's MosquitoNix.com. This is a limited time offer.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com. Brian and his team, they're just amazing people. They're so proud of their operation. Pride in every installation. You could see that in the Google reviews. Pride in the great quality, pride in the great pricing, pride in the great variety, and pride in the fact that you can go into the store right off of Highway K in O'Fallon, or the store will come to you. That's the promise of O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. That protest in Clayton, I mean, that was targeting Republicans, of course.
Of course.
And it was pretty obviously orchestrated by the labor unions.
Yes, yes.
Now, in St. Louis, labor unions are still a pretty powerful thing. And you tread lightly when you're criticizing labor unions for the most part. Other parts of the Midwest, not so much.
Yeah.
The rest of Missouri, not so much. Labor unions, particularly the public sector ones, are basically what's driven Illinois into bankruptcy, because you've got that vicious cycle of politicians, promising stuff to labor unions, getting elected. They've got to deliver. That's expensive. They got to tax somebody to pay it off. And that's the death spiral of Illinois, and the public sector labor unions had a lot to do with that.
Sure did.
So the question now, are unions gaining momentum after years of losing it?
Oh, boy.
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, their political power is outsized to their numbers.
And it always has been.
Yeah.
Really.
But politicians are still paying lots of attention to them. And now you've got some Republicans foolishly, Josh Hawley,
looking at you,
deciding to join the Democrats and supporting union bosses. And the union bosses are an arm of the Democratic Party. They are never going to support I'm using this as a political historical term, useful idiots of Republicans, especially those who claim to be conservative, but also want to be the union guy.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not your friend, bro. They're absolutely using you. It's actually sad to see whenever the Republicans kind of jump over that line into doing that stuff. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and that's like we had Mark Mix on the show last week from National Right to Work, and now Republicans can openly talk about what is wrong with Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
He's getting onto this populist thing, thinking that you're going to win the support of the unions. You're not.
There's no way.
And when you compare the quotes about labor policy right now, you can't tell if it's Josh Hawley or Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. He's gone like full on with the labor into the labor movement there.
But unions are good at activism. They're good at politics. They're very good at political money laundering. They know how to butter the bread.
Yeah.
But
they're never going to butter any red Republican
no,
bread.
They're not. Now, here's the thing. Here's my personal experience, my conversations. You all tell me, and I'm talking to everybody here, if you've experienced anything different. I just don't get the people who disagree with basically everything the unions do, especially politically, but they either are afraid to speak up or they don't want to speak up, or otherwise they're still loyal to the union, even though they hate everything they do. But they're still loyal to it. Now, I don't know if that's a matter of I can't say anything because you know what, they're still, it can still get pretty rough. I mean that literally. But I don't know how many people over the years, it's like, yeah, I gotta, the union, I can't do that. Why? The union doesn't want me to. So what? You like that car better than that car? Yeah, the union will be pissed though. Really?
That's crazy.
I remember when I was working in a newsroom in another city, there was a local union that was having a press conference on, the thing that was going on. And they had a sign posted outside. If you drive a foreign brand, you're not allowed to park in the parking lot. You have to go find street parking.
Right.
And they called me once in the newsroom, like, hey, you guys going to cover this? I'm like, well, I would have, but I think I was driving a Toyota or whatever.
Right.
Which, by the way, was made in America.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And he goes, well, just park across the street. I'm like, no,
I don't want
to. No. He's like, oh, come on, man. We need the coverage. I'm like, well, you don't want me there. Well, yeah, we do. Just park somewhere else. Screw you.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, it's
like, we want you to do us a favor. You just have to walk.
Right. Precisely.
No.
So union membership in Missouri has fallen. It's about 8% of workers. Okay. That was double digits, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but about 8%.
Okay.
So Mackenzie Barris is of the left-wing group Jobs with Justice, and she talked to Public News Service, arguing that unions are still really important for workers because they want to fight for equality on the job.
Unions are fundamentally a democratic vehicle that allow workers to come together and say, as a group, we vote for what we want to do. We name the conditions that we want, what we say that we need as workers, and we have to be listened to.
Okay, so unions claim support is rising nationwide. I don't know what the numbers are looking at, but here's the thing. You've got a right to organize, but I'm a free market guy. Should workers have the right to take over a workplace just because we voted?
Right.
You don't own the workplace.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like what's kind of at bottom for a lot of these unions, where essentially it's like, well, this is a union shop, and therefore if you work here, you have to join the union. Well, that doesn't sound like very much a worker choice situation there, does it?
Yeah. Yep. So that's I think one of the things that Republicans need to do a conscience check on. Yeah, as was pointed out on Rumble here, PMS 3105, union leadership has already stated that they'll use Holly and Keogh for as long as they need them. I believe that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But the bottom line is conservatives, they're not your friends. They've adopted the entire intersectionality of the fringe left. They're not even staying on message anymore with just workplace stuff.
Don't even get me started on the public sector.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer. Psst. Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere, and we can't disagree. Dine in, pick up, or delivery in St. Peters, St. Charles, Lake St. Louis on Fort Trail, and the original Stephanitas in O'Fallon on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Check us out at Steph'sPizza.com. Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
This hour from Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. Will Chicago be next? President Trump is talking about dispatching National Guard troops to the city to help police take a bite out of crime. The same strategy that has proven successful in Washington, D.C., so successful, in fact, the president is now declaring the capital city a crime-free zone.
Mr. Trump is applauding D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser for cooperating with the administration and the federal crackdown on crime. He says it would be great if other crime-plagued cities followed D.C.'s lead, referring specifically to what he labels, quote, crime-drenched Baltimore and Chicago, where there were more than 50 shootings over the holiday weekend.
And that's correspondent Ken Lorman. In Fort Pierce, Florida, trial preparations underway for Ryan Ruth. He's charged with trying to assassinate Mr. Trump on the golf course of the Trump West Palm Beach Country Club last year.
Ruth has pleaded not guilty to charges of attempting to assassinate a major presidential candidate, assaulting a federal officer, and several firearm violations. He faces additional state charges. Judge Aileen Cannon signed off on Ruth's request to represent himself at a pretrial conference. Prosecutors say Ruth plotted to kill Trump for weeks before he was spotted by a Secret Service agent aiming a rifle through the golf course shrubbery. The agent opened fire. Ruth dropped his weapon without firing and fled and was arrested not far away. In the early days of the war in Ukraine, he claims to have tried to volunteer to fight and recruit foreign soldiers, leaving messages that one Ukrainian military official described to CNN as delusional. I'm Jennifer King.
2 natural disasters have claimed many lives overseas. In eastern Afghanistan, the earthquake death toll now exceeds 1,400. It is expected to rise. And a landslide that wiped out an entire village in the Darfur region is blamed for roughly 1,000 deaths. There was just one survivor there. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures down 403 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something? Boat wins! Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing? Boat wins! Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing? Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat. Yeah!
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A weak weather disturbance nearby, spitting out a few spotty showers this morning, but the rain coverage is limited. Still, let's have the umbrella handy just in case. Otherwise, partly sunny, cooler than normal weather continues with highs in the low 80s this afternoon. Partly cloudy and dry tonight will drop to 63, and then tomorrow warmer, a high of 86, as we wait on the arrival of a cold front. Scattered showers and a few storms possible near that front late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, and then much cooler Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Phifer.
They're buying it.
up, St. Louis?
Watch a couple squats, son.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin God.
All right, it's another special session for Missouri legislators, and some protesters had stuff to say about that on Monday.
Yes, very loudly and chanty.
Yes, very chanty, very chanty. The Trump administration says it will appeal 2 more adverse court rulings. I'll tell you about those. And also, are we becoming nicer or ruder in America? Interesting survey results. All right, 8:05 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you again.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Missouri lawmakers are headed back to the Capitol for another special session. Remember, they just had one in June.
Yep.
This time, though, it's to pass a Republican plan to redraw the state's congressional districts, and that is, of course, at the request of President Trump, who told state officials to deliver 1 more Republican seat in Congress. The session, which begins tomorrow, is also going to address initiative petition reform, which actually I think is the more important of the 2 things, although redistricting is what everybody's going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Initiative petition reform is the more important of the 2.
Absolutely. And maybe we should call this the extra special session.
Yeah, extra.
Extra.
Yes, exactly. So Republicans, don't F this one up.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Gosh.
On the initiative petition reform in particular.
Yes.
Big talk once again.
You're on the hook.
You're on the hook. Deliver here. Okay. All right. Protesters took to Shaw Park in Clayton on Monday to speak out against the special session. They had signs, they had chants, they had everything.
Did they have drums?
Probably.
There was probably a drum
probably
involved.
a drum in there.
Somebody doing it badly.
Yeah. Protesters also voiced support for striking Boeing workers who walked off the job last month. I think it was certainly last month. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After rejecting a 20% pay increase offer. And I just kind of want to point out again that some of even there are friends, KMOV, I'm not hating on them, but the headline is protesters took to the streets to protest. You're in Clayton, guys.
To the streets.
When you're saying to the streets, we're not talking about Clayton.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. The streets is not the streets.
If there's a boutique on the street,
it's not.
You
the
didn't
streets.
go to the streets,
right? Exactly.
Just say.
To the golf carts.
To the golf carts.
To go get cappuccino.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, good God. All right. Let's see here. Let's talk about a couple of these court cases that have gone against the president here. They're not over yet. U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit ruling last week that President Trump overstepped his authority under an emergency power law and saying the president had no legal right to impose all of those sweeping tariffs, what the president calls the Liberation Day tariffs. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was on Fox News Monday, and he says he's confident the ruling is going to be overturned by the Supreme Court. And he says President Trump had to issue the tariffs to save the country.
President Trump, myself, the economic team in the cabinet believe that we are close to a tipping point where we could have financial instability due to these large and persistent trade deficits. So we are trying to head off a crisis.
Which is nonsense.
No,
I mean, it's just complete economic nonsense thing to stay. But let's just so everybody knows what we're talking about here. The court did not rule that tariffs were illegal or unconstitutional.
Right.
They ruled that the president cannot unilaterally impose them without Congress's approval.
Right.
That's what this is.
Because the power is very specifically vested in Congress to lay duties and things like that. So yes, you need the Congress to actually say something about it. Congress could solve this issue immediately.
Right.
You know, all they have to do is write up a law that gives him the ability maybe to negotiate these within a certain period of time or certain levels of tariffs or what have you.
Or to set the tariffs themselves.
Or set the tariffs themselves.
That's what the courts have ruled on these. And be very, very wary of any politician, state, federal, mayoral, anything, who says, let's declare an emergency because I don't like the way things are going. That way I can have extraordinary powers to fix it.
Yeah.
I'll take care. That is a concentration of power into fewer and fewer and fewer people. We should have learned our lesson during the COVID nonsense. That is not what we should be doing. Stop claiming emergencies. Listen, trade deficits, there's debt and there's deficits.
Right.
Debt, bad. Trade deficits, depends on how it is, by the way it's structured.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's good, but it's not necessarily bad if we're getting stuff cheaper than we could make it.
I have a trade deficit with my local grocer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
You have
he
one.
takes so much money from me.
Yes.
Every couple weeks.
And all you do is get stuff that you need in your life.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but you do. You technically have a trade imbalance. You have a deficit with the grocery store.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So just everything is not an emergency.
No.
My good, stop with the emergency declarations.
Yep.
Almost nothing is an emergency in a civilized Western nation.
Correct.
I'll just say it that way. Almost nothing.
Yeah. Exactly. And those of you who are getting irritated with me, because once again, I'm critiquing, I think 12 months from now, we're going to look back and I'm confident that I'm going to be shown to be right about this. The same. All right. A judge has blocked the Trump administration from deporting Guatemalan minors who illegally crossed the border without their families.
In a dramatic scene, the federal judge issued her order as a group of migrant Guatemalan children, ages 10 to 17, had already been boarded onto planes. She issued a temporary restraining order halting removal of the children for 14 days. Government lawyers maintain that the children were not being deported, but were being reunited with their parents or guardians. The children's lawyers dispute that portrayal, at least in some cases. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And on this one, the Trump administration's right.
Yeah.
These are people who came into the country illegally because they're minors. We're supposed to allow them to break the law, and especially when you're going to send them back to where their actual families or guardians are.
Yeah, it's wild that the idea of reuniting families in a foreign country is now a particular problem for the Democrats. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly. All right. As of today, Ameren is raising rates on gas service in some parts of the area. Now, I want to be clear. We're talking about gas, not electricity. Gas customers in parts of Lincoln and Warren counties, as well as in Forrestal and Wentzville in St. Louis County, are getting a 12% increase to your gas rates.
Oh, boy.
12%.
What the heck?
Yeah. Ameren says that will increase your monthly bills about $13 for each customer. It's going to be about $30 million in extra revenue for Ameren moving forward as well. All right. Another just quick update on a story we've been following. The Trump administration has still not released the Epstein files.
Yeah, that's still a thing.
I want to put that out there because most conservative media has completely abandoned that story. There is going to be a press conference tomorrow. Thomas Massey and is it Rokana probably, I think.
Yeah.
They're actually going to have a press conference with victims. Epstein, or some of the Epstein victims.
Well, because there were so many of them, I can't imagine you can get them all at the same time. But yeah, 10 of the confirmed victims are going to speak out, and what they're basically trying to say is a tell-all sort of thing. So to answer some of the questions that we've all had, I believe that's going to be 10:30 tomorrow. I don't know
our time locally.
I couldn't remember because it just said 10:30 a.m. So I'm assuming if it might be DC time zone.
Okay, so that'd be 9:30 our time.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be covering it the following morning. But I want to put that back out there. I have not forgotten about this.
Oh yeah, we're still gonna stick on this thing.
Yep.
Release the Epstein files. Dang it.
Okay. I've never heard of this, but apparently today is Telephone Tuesday.
Telephone Tuesday.
Right. This is the day we make more calls than any other day.
What?
Yeah.
How did they figure that out?
Okay. So the belief is that calls increase because everything's open again after the holidays and because schools are back in session and the adults now have time to get caught up on our to-do list and our business stuff, like for household stuff. Over 3/4 of Americans surveyed said a phone call is still the best way to get an answer, although AI chats are likely to change that in the coming years.
Well, they're answering the phones anyway. So, whether or not even if you call, you might not get a person.
Right. Eventually you will be talking to AI.
Yeah. One of these skin jabs.
All right. Interesting question here. Are we Americans becoming ruder?
People think so. According to a Pew Research Center poll, 47% of adults say unkind behavior is on the rise in this country. 44% say it's about as bad as it's always been. And what behaviors bug people the most? The Pew study finds Americans are most unhappy with people who curse out loud in public places, wear clothing with obscenities on it, blast loud music, bring their dog to the office, or smoke around others. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
Okay, I don't think it's rude to bring your dog to the office as long as I'm allowed to give him screeches and belly rubs.
Yes.
I have no problem with that.
Mhm.
The worst of all of those are the people who smoke right around everybody else.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you should know better at this point. We have become a smoking intolerant society. Though I will say this too, though the level of obscenity that has entered public life, I think because we've been sitting in that boiling water for so long, we don't notice it as much. But I think back to back in the day, and somebody saying, the S word because they slammed their hand in the doorway or something like that in public, that would get massive gasps from all over.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But I think we're becoming less couth and less classy. I don't think it's about being prudish. I
Mhm.
just think it's the survey says, we're just not as classy as we used to be.
Yeah.
Overall, just saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Cardinals lost at home on Monday. They got beat by the A's 11-3. Game 2 of that series starts this evening. That is a 6:45 first pitch, and Miles Michaelis will be on the mound.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL.
Can't you hear the alarm?
Larry Connors here. Is your home ready for the chilly months ahead? Renewal by Andersen has a buy one, get one 50% off window event. And if you qualify, 18 months, no payments, zero interest. Not sure if it's the right time? Renewal makes it easy. No obligation window inspection. Just find out what new windows might cost when you're ready. No pressure, no hassle. And remember, no one but Renewal by Andersen can offer Fibrex, the proprietary window frame material, 200% stronger than vinyl. Means durability, efficiency, beauty that lasts every season. What are you waiting for? Call 877-WINDOWS or visit rbastl.com and get your consultation. Renewal by Andersen. Superior products, exceptional service.
You can join in the mission to remember our fallen heroes, honor those who currently serve and their families, and teach younger generations about the value of freedom. A $17 donation to Wreaths Across America sponsors a fresh balsam remembrance wreath. These wreaths have become a symbol of America's respect for those who have served and no longer walk with us. Sponsor a wreath today. Visit wreathsacrossamerica.org or call 877-385-9504.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. And speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Well, let's talk about Gabe's dirty, rotten, no good, scary drive into work because you came in kind of a mood.
Yeah. It was a little different. There's nothing quite like a near-death experience to get the heart pumping in the morning.
Yeah. You came in and I'm like, you okay? You look tired. And you're like, well, I almost died. Oh, okay. Good morning to you too.
A little pissed about it.
What just happened?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm exaggerating a little bit, for effect, but honestly, I do, at the moment I felt my life was under threat.
Yeah.
I'm driving down 270. I'm on my way into work, and there's that spot. You're going westbound on 270 on the north side of the loop there,
right?
And it splits off into 70. Right.
Right.
The 70 juncture is pretty much right there as you kind of continue.
Just like north of Dorset.
Just north, exactly. So there's a guy, and there are two lanes over there on the right side for the 70 exit and other places. So he's riding next. Well, actually,
so we're before 70.
We're before we get there.
Yeah.
This is the exit. He's in that exit lane, and he's just going. and I'm just going. I'm on cruise control. I'm in the right lane. So we're next to each other lane wise anyway.
Because he was exiting.
So he's a little ahead of me. I may be a little faster than because it's an exit lane, so he's probably slowing down. That's my presumption. So I'm gaining a little bit, and just as I guess I get into his blind spot, he decides to come over.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he says, I see that spot in the lane over there that you have, and I want that.
So like I'm exiting, but oh crap, this isn't my exit.
That's the feeling I got. Is he realized he was in the exit lane and he wanted to not be in the exit lane, but he didn't signal. He didn't swerve. He didn't slow down. He just moved over right to where I was. So I see him moving towards me out of the corner of my eye. I swerve, and since it's a little rainy, my tires don't exactly respond the way I would like them to. So I'm skidding a little bit as I'm moving over into the left lane.
70
miles an hour. And I didn't have time to check my left shoulder to see if anybody was there. So I'm freaking out. I fishtail a little bit. I'm not sure how close I get to any of the other lanes because there's like 3 other lanes or 2 other lanes on my left side. So I don't know. I feel like everything got a lot smaller. Like the lanes got a lot smaller. I got a lot closer to the bricks divide or the concrete dividers on the left side. I got way too close to the car on my right side. So I felt like the entire world was kind of closing in, and I'm fishtailing in the wet weather. So that's just for a split second. It's just, you know how it goes in this traffic situation.
That gives you that adrenaline jolt.
Oh my gosh, my heart was pumping, and my mom would not be appreciative of my mouth at that time because he tried to effing kill me, and I told him so. Yeah. So that was a good way to wake up. I'll tell you this: I was much more awake this morning than I've ever been on air.
Which is weird because the first thing I said, "You tired? Or what's going on?" But you were just like not catatonic. But you were. But this was what 5:30 in the morning, so at least the traffic wasn't that busy. Because if that were during rush hour, God knows what could happen.
I definitely would have crashed into somebody on my left side.
Now, do you have like a dash cam that you can share this footage of? Because that sounds terrifying.
Now, if I had the dash cam footage, I would definitely. It would be running right now. I would have given it to you this morning. I was like, "Hey, play this on here." But I wished I had a dash cam. Right, it was one of the things I was thinking. I was like, it was thank God nobody was on my left. Oh my gosh, I could have crashed into the barrier. Something could have happened. Janet's out of town, so I'm at home by myself. So it was like I could have flipped my car and been in an accident. And she's thinking, "Oh my gosh, what's happening back home?" All that stuff kind of went through my mind. But also that if something had happened, if I had crashed into somebody or hit the wall, that guy's gone.
Yeah,
he's not stopping. He didn't know I was there to begin with. So why would he stop if something's going on behind him?
I don't want to stereotype. But it's St. Louis and
5 something in the morning.
Is there a chance he was high?
He was high.
Yeah,
I think he was high. He was paying very close attention to what was exactly in front of his nose. He was locked in. So whatever was going side to side doesn't matter apparently because I wasn't there. So I was thinking if I had a dash cam and something had happened, this would have been my only proof to the insurance company that I just didn't go crazy and decide to run myself into another vehicle or the divider.
See, I got to tell you, unlike those social media videos and stuff, I am a absolute sucker for the guilty pleasure of the dash cam videos.
Every time they show up in my feed.
Yeah, I don't know why. And then every time I say that, I'm like, I need to get a dash cam.
Yes.
And I haven't done it, but I need to get a dash cam. And it's not even just because, well, you might be able to provide evidence for some wreck that you see, or God forbid somebody hits you and you can prove you weren't doing anything wrong.
Right.
But also the people who try to scam you, like the ones that like speed up and pull in front of you and slam on the brakes and then, try to do, because apparently that's still a thing out there.
I've seen those in those dash cam videos on social media as well. So yeah, I'm definitely in the market. So you got any wrecks, guys, send them my way.
Yeah, when I was camping several years ago, we were driving through a small town like that, and we came across a guy that had like a suit and tie and a briefcase and all that, and then like out of nowhere, we thought maybe this dude had just like lost his mind or something because he ran straight at our vehicle, and then when we got a little bit further up, he like turned himself last second and ran off, and we were trying to figure out what happened. So we told somebody, one of the locals, like, "Oh yeah, there are people here that they dress all nice, so you think they're this like business person, but really what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to hit them just hard enough that they're not injured, but then they can try to get money out of you." And I'm like, really? Like that's an actual thing that happened. We thought this guy like zombie apocalypse type thing was going on. So maybe they were like tweaking, but apparently there are communities where that happens. If they don't recognize your vehicle, this might be an easy payday.
Oh man, that's wild. There was a story. I think the Blaze put it up. They shared it at least on social media. It's behind a paywall though, so I didn't read the story. But it says you should why everyone should consider a dash cam.
I honestly think that's probably a good idea. And I say this, I know I'm going to get busy with like booking tomorrow's show and I'm going to completely forget.
Same.
But it's really something everybody probably should do just as a matter of self-protection. And of course, if that's not enough, you can get clicks on your video. You can get likes, but really for self-protection.
Right.
So when I used to do long distance trips, I have a little GoPro that I used to just put on my dashboard. So when it's snowing, you get these like beautiful sort of landscape. You can use them for, backgrounds, whatever. The amount of times I caught something completely bizarre and out of the ordinary that it seems like once you start recording the video, the world goes mad because it's like, I've never seen this before, but now all of a sudden you have like deers like running through, like what's going on, people?
Yep. We need this stuff in our lives, I think. And also,
by the way, Allison points out, she says the dash cams can also help keep thieves out of your car. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I have done some research on dash cams, and they have, they've got the very, very high end ones down to the low end ones. Some of the high end ones, they have it's 3 views, so it's forward, behind you, and cab. So it's taking an image of what's going on inside the vehicle too. So during traffic stops and stuff like that, you can have a camera on you to show what you're doing, how you're, what you're saying, and of course it will record sound. And when it's parked, some of these dash cams basically become a Sentry sort of security system. So if somebody gets too close to the vehicle, it will sound an alarm, or it will begin recording all around the vehicle, things like that. So yeah, there's all kinds of benefits, I think, to having a dash cam. So I am definitely in the market. If any listener out there has a dash cam and you love it, please send that recommendation my way. I will buy it.
One came in on Rumble already.
Nice, sweet.
So
okay,
check that out.
Yep. Before that disappears.
I'm not going to say it on the air because they got to pay for
they got to pay for that.
But also, first of all, glad you're okay.
Yeah, me too.
And I am completely going on the St. Louis stereotype. Maybe this was just somebody who got, oh crap, that's the wrong lane, I need to move over. But what you described sounds like somebody who's high and trying desperately to not, knowing that they're high, because you see them like locked in.
Oh yeah,
like both hands white knuckling on the steering wheel. What you described, I'm like,
he high.
I have seen so much of that during like daylight hours. It would not surprise me if that's what was going on.
Yeah, and coming from St. Peter's, where I go to the range that I go to, coming back home, I mean, it's for some reason there are people that don't have license plates on the back of the vehicle that are the ones swerving in and out of traffic, treating it like it's Fast and Furious. And that's kind of where I want to get my own dash cam, because I'm like, let's say they clip me or they cause an accident, they get away. And I'm going to say, well, it's this colored vehicle with tinted windows, don't know what the driver looks like. And they had at least this way, there's maybe something identifiable, but it's learn to drive your cars, people. I mean,
yeah, seriously.
Why are we giving people this many licenses?
I was coming back on Sunday, driving up I-44, and I went out of town for a couple days, and there was, and the most aggressive drivers that you're talking about, because there was one of those tailgating me, the swerving tailgate. I mean, and I'm like, dude, you're in this like little tiny car, like this little tiny like old Hyundai or something like that. I'm like, you're not the one to be like trying to muscle on the interstate, dude. You're not doing that. So, he's coming up tailgating. I'm like, I'm going, 8-9 miles an hour over the speed limit already, just keeping with the flow of traffic. I'm like, I'm not breaking cruise control. You can wait.
Right.
Now if he had a big, jacked up, truck that was twice the size of my SUV, am I gonna have the same thing? No, I'm probably gonna speed up and try to get, but I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly. No.
You're not your little girly car. I'm not doing that.
Man, I tell you what, driving in St. Louis is one of those things. It really is. And I think it's getting worse.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. So, the red lights are suggestions, right? And then swerving and speeding at somewhere upwards of 90, 100 miles an hour on the highways is now becoming the norm for certain people.
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah.
I don't get, so I'm I've driven around Chicago, and I thought that was
taking your life in your hands.
That is terrible.
Okay.
That is
But
terrible.
At least we have like tollway expressways where we can kind of avoid all those people if we wanted to. But you drive here, it's like, okay, pothole there, driver there, pothole there, driver. What am I supposed to do? And I'm a very defensive driver. I will let you just go around me.
Yeah,
So I don't understand.
I don't take it personally. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't. It's okay. You can pass me. I won't feel insulted.
I won't feel like I'm losing the race.
No, it's okay.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A weak weather disturbance nearby, spitting out a few spotty showers this morning, but the rain coverage is limited. Still, let's have the umbrella handy just in case. Otherwise, partly sunny, cooler than normal weather continues with highs in the low 80s this afternoon. Partly cloudy and dry tonight will drop to 63, and then tomorrow warmer, a high of 86, as we wait on the arrival of a cold front. Scattered showers and a few storms possible near that front late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, and then much cooler Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shea.
Fox News commentary.
A new report shows airline fatalities jumped by over 300% in 2024. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Report from the International Air Transport Association's 2024 safety report shows airline fatalities jumped by over 300% in 2024 compared to the year before. Now, that sounds huge, and it is, but here's the catch. 2023 was one of the safest years on record, so the numbers had nowhere to go but up. But even with the spike, flying is still incredibly safe. The risk of a fatal accident is about 1 in 13 million flights. Most of the accidents were tied to things like mid-air collisions, runway errors, and tech interference. So yes, the spike is real, but no, it's not as bad as it sounds. Personally, I'm far less concerned about dying or crashing and far more annoyed with all the delays, cancellations, and disruptions. Take it from someone who travels dang near every week. It's a game of Russian roulette if you'll actually make it to your destination within 5 hours of when you're supposed to. Secretary Duffy has a lot on his plate. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
Jamie Allman here, and I want you to hide out with me 10 minutes south of 270 in Gravois at the wonderful Hideout, the best burgers you're going to find anywhere in the land, and yet people still eat Dave's Chili right there at 90-degree temperatures. Music every day, it seems, people, on the weekends especially, and dinners and lunch served every single day of the week. The coldest beer and the best staff you're going to find, the Hideout right there in High Ridge.
Colombo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new NewsTalkSTL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalkSTL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the NewsTalkSTL app.
Anywhere.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right. They came, they saw, they conquered Shaw Park. They protested.
Oh.
Then they went home for the holiday like everybody else once the cameras left. Basically, you had a bunch of leftists. A big union influence was protesting on Monday, on Labor Day. And there's always some kind of, union demonstration on Labor Day. That's okay, whatever, fine. And this year, though, they were targeting the special session in Jefferson City, and there were similar protests in Columbia and Springfield and Kansas City and places like that. But what was funny, before we get into kind of the content of the protests themselves, is some of the media coverage on this. And I'm not bashing our friends at KMOV. Okay. They're our news partners, but the headline, hundreds took to the streets in support of Boeing workers and against redistricting in the state, which is a 100% accurate headline. But hundreds took to the streets in Clayton. When I think you took to the streets, I'm not thinking where there are boutiques and you can get a nice quiche and a Chianti. That's not what I'm thinking of. That's not to the streets. Okay.
No, when you think take to the streets, you imagine it's like some large, organized, sort of formatted group, and not just probably a bunch of retirees sitting there shaking their fist in the sky.
And I wasn't at the protest, obviously. I just saw some of the coverage of it. It looks like pretty much your typical left-wing protest. A lot of old hippies, and obviously some of the new fringe types as well, because it's all kind of intersectional at this point. But what was also interesting is you saw the Post-Dispatch, and then you also saw Mark Maxwell from Channel 5. Both just, obviously not really journalism. I mean, you just got, kind of left-wing bias there. But they both actually tried to claim over 1,000 people protesting. Basically, this was a huge deal. They got called out on social media like crazy. There were some, conservatives, and some MAGA folks who were like, 50, 60 people. I don't know how many people were there. But what was interesting is when you read Maxwell's article on Channel 5's website, it's dialed back to between 300 and 1,000. Okay, well, that's a big range.
Yeah.
I mean, between 300 and 1,000. So it's not like they were necessarily giving up on the narrative that this was just such a huge thing. I don't know. Maybe it was a big one. I don't know. 1,000-person protest has happened recently in St. Louis, but it sounds like that wasn't it this time.
No, I'm trying to compare it, like get a visual representation of what that would look like, because I go to a lot of like rock and metal shows, and usually capacity is around 800, 700, something like that. So try telling that to the fire marshal. Well, how many people were here tonight? Well, between 300 and 1,000. But I think if it was as close to 1,000 as they're trying to make it sound, 300 would be a small enough group. You could tell that's not 1,000 people.
Well,
right?
and 300 still, a decent turnout for a protest. But it was funny watching all this arguing over the turnout, because it wasn't about the number. It was about calling out media for the bias, and them being accused of trying to make it look bigger than it actually was. Now, the response to that, somebody says, 50, 60 people. Well, it sounds like that was not the case. I mean, it sounds like there were hundreds of people there without any doubt. And if you saw it, let me know, because I didn't see it. So I don't know how many people were there. But I do think it was interesting how some of the wording got backtracked. And when you say between 300 and 1,000, that basically is kind of acknowledging that, maybe not 1,000.
Yeah, Ellison likes to point out that's how they count ballots, by the way. Yeah. So, they're between 300 and 1,000 for our Democrat colleague over here.
Yeah. So what you've got here is, in addition to the typical, hard old school Democratic Union thing, which, is Labor Day, fine. I mean, I would expect there'd be something. But what you've got them is specifically looking at the redistricting thing. I would think they would be more upset about the initiative petition reform, because that's really the only way leftists have any chance, is getting special interest to put something on the ballot and then lie about it for election time, because you've got a friendly media that's going to carry the water for you. So I would think that the initiative petition reform would be a greater threat to the left than one congressional seat out of 435 in the country. But all the attention's on the redistricting thing. In Kansas City, Manuel Cleaver, he's the one who's going to lose his job, because of the redistricting, because they're splitting up his district where he's been for, 25 years. Manuel's been in there forever. And so I would think that the left would be more worried about initial petition reform, but that's harder to chant on stuff like that. And they say they're going to be in Jefferson City tomorrow when the special session begins and protesting there. And I suspect they will be, and they'll probably pull several hundred people from around the state, and they'll do the thing in the halls and they'll do the protest in the rotunda. Although the weather's pretty nice, they could do it out front of the building. So there will be protest there, and that's fine. That's your First Amendment right. I got no issue with that. They may have to try to disrupt the hearings, which just gets yourself in handcuffs and hauled out of there. But the bottom line is that if the Republicans have agreed on the job that needs to be done, whether it's redistricting, whether it's initiative petition reform, and they stick together, it doesn't matter what the unions say. It doesn't matter what the socialist activists say. It doesn't matter what the left-wingers like Jobs with Justice say. It doesn't matter what the ACLU says. It doesn't matter what any of those say. It doesn't matter what the Democratic Party says. Republicans could get in, do it, get out, and then start focusing on the next session in January and take the rest of the year off.
Yeah, that's I think in some ways the good and the bad right now of what's going on within the Democratic Party is, on the one hand, they're not very effective at anything they're doing when it comes to these sorts of protests. I don't think they've really changed anybody's minds that would have any voting power.
It's a rally for the people who already agree with them.
Yeah, it's really just, we're going to make a lot of noise. But on the other hand, I mean, because I personally also don't like the timing of the redistricting. I also don't like the idea, because you did the math actually, and the way the what was it, the 6-2 map was actually pretty close to the actual way that Missourians vote.
And it was, I mean, Democrats generally get 42 to 48% of the vote statewide.
Yeah.
When you took at the presidential races or the statewide races, they generally are in that 40 something percent, let's just call it 45%, 42 to 48. So depending on the race, that's generally where they are.
Yeah. And I mean, I see people on our side, mostly, online, and some of the people I've talked to in person saying, well, what are they all upset about? Blah, blah, we won. They need to deal with it. And it's like, well, I can make fun of the fact that it's a bunch of people that are clearly, they don't have anything better to do, that are just upset, throwing a tantrum over the stuff, but also recognize that, that, like you mentioned, it's still their right to do this, and they could be more effective. And I'm kind of glad they're not more effective. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what long-term sort of consequences might come out of this, because that's what I'm sort of worried about.
Here's what I worry about. I worry that this is not just a one and done thing. Because the gerrymandering that like California has done, the gerrymandering Illinois has done, and the gerrymandering New York has done, and all of these, they do that after the census comes out, and it's been generally once every 10 years per the Constitution. But now what's happened is the states have figured out, oh, there's nothing that says we can't do it more often. And there's been talk in Illinois about saying, well, if Missouri's going to redistrict, then we're going to find another Democratic seat. I don't know that they could squeeze another Democratic seat out of the gerrymandering they've already got. Even J.B. Pritzker's like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. But my fear is that what's going to happen now is that every time that there's a new president, regardless of where we are in the decade, that there's going to be a rush for all the states to redistrict in order to stack the national scoreboard.
Yeah. And I don't like that.
Yeah. And because now we've opened the door for it. And if the Republicans had passed this 7-1 map in 22 after the census, well, okay, then the debate is whether or not the map is good or not. Well, now you still have that debate, but then you get, we've never done this before. And I see what they're responding to. I'm not mad at any Republican for voting for the new map. I understand it. I don't like the process. I think we're in a spiral of chaos now. And I think what you're going to start seeing is every couple of years, some state's going to go, well, our side is down a couple, or our side's only up 1 or 2. We better kick in. Let's redistrict. And what's happening from this point on is a more aggressive approach of politicians picking their voters, the political parties picking their voters.
Yes.
As opposed to the people picking their representatives.
Yeah. And that's, again, when it comes to, I don't know what a better word for it, but spite politics, right? So the rationale that I completely understand, it makes logical sense at a certain level. These other states are doing this, and at the federal level is misrepresenting a lot of things regarding the representation of people. Therefore, we need to do this to spite Illinois or to spite California, or Texas needs to do it to spite, yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, and again, that goes into if Democrats were more intellectually honest and they looked at what's going on with their own party, then and they could clean all that up, we could have more honest and better elections overall. But at the same time, do we want to live in a world where we're just going to keep spiting each other back and forth until eventually, I mean, there's inevitably
the answer is yes.
Okay, well, inevitably that leads down some very dark roads long term. And I mean, my generation and younger, we're gonna be the ones that have to figure that out eventually.
And
the
answer to that is you're correct on that. So it's like the people protesting in Shaw Park yesterday. They're like, this redistricting is wrong and immoral. Let the people speak. Okay, well, are you protesting what Illinois did? No, shut up. Seriously, shut up then.
Exactly. Look in your own house.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you're full of it. This is about your side is losing in Missouri, and you're going to continue to lose. So if you weren't marching for the people against redistricting in Illinois because that's gerrymandered, shut up. I'm seriously.
Yeah. Now, earlier somebody mentioned that it was National Phone Day today. And so I'd like to remind everybody that has a phone that if you have a phone, you have a radio, and that can be done through the NewsTalkSTL app, where we have quite a few features. There are people that sometimes like to call and say, well, I don't want to go on air, but I do want to make this point. Maybe, well, you can send us a voicemail through the app. So I would heavily encourage that. And if you don't have a phone and you're in your car, phones are cheaper than cars. Just go out and get a phone, then download the app, and you'll be all set.
I want to get some kind of prize for the first person to send us a voicemail to go on the air. I don't know what it's going to be, but maybe we can grab you a t-shirt or something. I want people to experiment and play with that.
Yes.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, EIFS, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Yes, it's been really hot and humid, but fall and winter right around the corner. Tim Jones here to tell you, time to get a hold of Chad Hansen and the gang at Hansen's Tree Service for your home or your business. Grinding, land clearing, green waste recycling, tree consulting, removal, or pruning. The organic mulch from Hansen's a wonderful addition to beautify and spruce up all your landscape beds. They offer substantial volume discounts for bulk orders and emergency tree removal. Just go to hansenstree.com. That's hansenstree.com.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
With Larry Connors USA, you get news, analysis, opinion, and education.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, let me just do the little self-serving thing here. If you're watching us on Facebook, you're watching us on Rumble, hit the thumbs up, hit the like thing, or the heart thing. Please do that. It actually helps get your voice in front of more people for all of the algorithmic reasons that Gabe and Jerome understand a lot better than I do.
Yeah. So when when you do what we do for a living, which is speaking truth to power, and the people in power don't like truth, it becomes very hard for us to get the message out there to the people that need to hear it. And I'm sure all of you out there have friends, family, loved ones, or even rivals and enemies that need to hear this message.
Right.
So
especially them.
Yeah. So liking it, sharing it, leaving a comment saying, oh, this was a very good point. So that way people can say, oh, that's what they were talking about that day. That helps us get more exposure. And then we can hopefully, do more to fight back against source controlled media.
Well, as a matter of fact, earlier today, somebody sent you a screenshot. They had typed in something on AI, and the AI answer, which is based on algorithms, argued that there was no conservative talk radio in St. Louis.
So this was from, it looks like it was Google's Gemini AI, and I can't see the full prompt, but it says something about, St. Louis, Missouri conservative radio. There is no major conservative talk radio station specifically listed in the search results for St. Louis, Missouri, but it does actually mention one of the not.
It mentions KMOX, which is not conservative.
No, and then it says that they are a prominent talk radio station, but there's no conservative. I'm like, well, what are we doing then? I mean,
no, exactly. So AI and the algorithms have not caught up. That's why stuff like that really matters. Now, I did a search on a couple other ones, and we did. Because we're kind of the movers and shakers right now, we did pop up, but it's funny that the Google one in particular is not going to know anything about conservatives in St. Louis. Really, Google? That shocks me. This is my shocked face.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too, is sometimes we often think, well, it's just not advanced enough to the other part of it, though, and we know for a fact that this happened because of the case that happened with ChatGPT, is sometimes the people that are in charge of the parameters around that will specifically omit certain things because they don't want to draw attention. So you might be looking for, well, what's the best way to, attend a News Talk STL event? And they'll say, well, we don't know who News Talk STL is because we don't want to have them. We want to focus on these groups over here. Why don't you go look at these mainstream sources that pay us and not the little guys that are fighting back?
And the funny part was, and this was long before you got here, Jerome, we actually tried to advertise digitally, and they wouldn't allow us to because we use the word conservative. And we actually, when the station first started up, we tried to advertise, particularly on social media, and they would not take the money, and they would not allow us to tell people we were here. So we've got a little bit more of a push to do that again. And we're also up against the Soros, media conglomerate, but that's why those things matter. So it's really not an ego thing. I want a bunch of likes or whatever. The shares, the reposts, the likes, it matters because it gets the conversation in front of more people. That's what really matters about this.
Yeah, because you also, I think it was you that had the expert on last week that was talking about how there's still left-leaning bias within Twitter of all places, which makes sense to that. So absolutely, it does feel good to see those little reactions, but at the same time, this is much bigger than that. This is about keeping honest media out there and getting the people that need to hear it.
Exactly. All right, 8:52 right now. Okay, so I was reading that article a little bit earlier about National Telephone Day, which is kind of a silly thing. But apparently phone calls go way up today, and they were listing all the reasons why. School is in session, holidays over, people just have to get caught up on their business. Got to call the bank, got to call the store, got to call, the roofer, whoever you got to do. And so there's just, today's the one of those days where there are more phone calls than almost any other day in the country. Okay. Interesting enough. One of the other reasons they listed is they say because people are now, after Labor Day, now people are starting to focus and plan for the holidays. It's September.
The holidays, as in the big three coming up,
or the big ones coming up. Yeah.
Okay. Because to be honest, I'm getting that Halloween itch already, and I know that's well over a month away from now.
It's almost 2 months away.
But it's too early for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I know that those are more of a cultural significant thing in a lot of people's lives. But mid-September, you can start Halloween. Early November, I've given up. You guys can start with Christmas with that one, but you have to save Thanksgiving for the right at the end of October. It's just
here's what's funny is I read that. I'm like, would you stop with the holiday? Nobody is talking about the holidays or planning for that. Then I went, Oh, wait, I talked to my mom yesterday about some of the holiday stuff and what we're going to do. I actually did that yesterday.
Yeah, my mom's already reached out and said, "Hey, are you going to be able to come back in town for Thanksgiving to see everybody?" I'm like, "Well, I'll see if everybody gets sick again this year and I have to fill in."
Oh, God, that was about that time last year.
Yeah, so everybody, please, I have not. Anyways, but no, but the first thought I had, I'm like, who is sitting here calling and saying, "By the way, happy early holiday"? Like, I mean, you don't have to call the day after Labor Day, do you?
I know you don't. And I did see some Halloween stuff at one of the stores last week because we're just insane on stuff like this with the holiday stuff. And Halloween is like the third or fourth most popular holiday now when it comes to spending money. I mean, Christmas is still one, but, and let me say observances, because they're not always holidays. I think Mother's Day, is 2, and Halloween is like 3 or 4.
Okay, I can understand that because some of these people, and I really appreciate this, and I wish more people did this, but they'll buy these, like they'll go full out with the decorations, and they'll have like these. I saw a guy, he had like a 12 or 13 foot tall skeleton giant.
Yeah.
And it moved and had eyes. I'm like, that could not have been cheap. So I can imagine it's not about the quantity of what's being bought. It's probably got to do with some guy that's sitting there saying, well, this only costs $7,000. Let's get it. That'll be fun.
101 straight up, Mike. We were at Kohl's yesterday. They had Christmas stuff out.
Too early.
Listen, I'm pretty libertarian and I'm really free market, but there ought to be a law. Straight to jail.
Yes. Okay. Again, if they want to put it in a special back corner of the store, like not even like a speakeasy, like the passphrase. No, because when they start playing the music early, that's when it really. I'm like, I will just go online then. How about
I'm ready to throw hands. Ready to go. No, absolutely not. And you know what's funny is like when you look at the holidays, Christmas is my least favorite.
Really,
I don't care for. I am a Grinch. Because I think it has lost all of its meaning.
Yes.
It is about nothing but sales and merch at this
consumerism.
point. Yeah, I think that it's been ruined, and I don't think that it should be legal to listen to Christmas music before December 1st.
Yes,
and I think it should end on December 26th.
Yes, and I don't know if this is a tradition here, but where I'm from, the tradition is, starting fights at Black Friday sales for the Christmas gifts you want to get. I'm like, what better way to show goodwill and showing appreciation for, during Thanksgiving, where you're supposed to be appreciative, than going out and fighting somebody because, you want to save $200 on a TV or something.
And I think the Black Friday stuff, that's not nearly as bad anymore because so much online shopping has replaced the camp out at the store early in the morning the day before, which I have always thought was really, really stupid.
It took some of the fun out of it. I have to be real.
Allison says, Vicky says, I saw both Halloween and Christmas stuff out at home, the home decorative store. Oh, good Lord. That's just wrong. The at home, which one was that? Was that the one on Manchester, by the way, Vicky? I bought stuff there when I moved recently.
And she hates Halloween. Okay, you know what, Vicky? I'll forgive you for that for now, but you better watch it. Halloween is one of my all-time favorites. Now, again, I'm not trying to propose segregation, but Halloween and Christmas at the same time, like
a little bit of a dichotomy there.
I mean, you pick one, pick a pot and squad, people.
You're gonna do the whole heaven and hell thing. I mean.
Well, I mean, that'd be a very interesting. I know some people that have done like some, Halloween, Christmas style, like Nightmare Before Christmas themed parties and stuff like that. But I don't know, just something feels wrong about that. And then, but they didn't mention Thanksgiving either. So is Thanksgiving just not as celebrated, or?
Yeah, and of all the holidays, that's the one I'm probably most inclined to enjoy. On that,
that's your cheat day now, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the Sabos radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial